WrestleMania is in the books. 2 nights of WrestleMania from AT&T Stadium in Dallas. The big news coming out of night 2 is that we have a unified WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion. We have a united champion, an undisputed champion, a singular champion. For how long? That's the question. For how long? Probably not very long. But for now, I like the fact that we have one champion. His name is Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is the winner of the supposed biggest main event, biggest match in WrestleMania history. What do you think? Did you watch that match and think that that was the biggest match in WrestleMania history? See, that's the problem. When you hype something up with that kind of verbiage and you promote something as the best, and then it doesn't deliver on that, people are left very disappointed. I am one of those people who were left very disappointed with the way WrestleMania ended this year, which is too bad because I thought there was a lot to like about this year's WrestleMania. Now, I think it goes without saying that night 1 was far stronger than night 2. Night 1, and we're going to see if you guys agree, because later on, I'm going to have the results of the Twitter polls from last night and tonight. So if you want to vote, at Solomonster on Twitter, we'll check the results later on. But for my money, night 1 is head and shoulders above night 2. When it was over, I felt that night 2 was okay. There were things to like on night 2. There were actually some things that I really liked on night 2. But the weird thing about Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, I am trying to think back to a match that the two of them had where Seth Rollins did not get involved, that actually had a finish that I liked. That actually had a finish that didn't feel underwhelming and disappointing. WrestleMania 34 was terrible. This was not as bad as WrestleMania 34. WrestleMania 34 was terrible. They had another match in Saudi Arabia in a cage where they both fell out at the same time. The match last year in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel, not exactly the most exciting match in the world, the way that ended, with the Usos interfering. And then tonight, a sudden finish that felt like it came out of nowhere. Very unexpected. Didn't see that being the finish. It felt like there was still time left to come. I thought maybe there was going to be something post-match. I thought maybe The Rock would show up. Just because, I felt like if this is going to end the show and Roman is going to win, maybe they want to go off the air with some kind of a big cliffhanger cameo. There was no Rock. Doesn't mean there won't be in the future, but there was no Rock. Roman Reigns pinned Brock Lesnar, celebrated with both belts, and that is how they went off the air. The match itself was very disappointing. I wrote in my notes, I said that this is me in 2K22. That's what that main event felt like. It's the constant spamming. Now, we've seen this in their past matches before, and I haven't hated all of their matches, but that's all there was. That's literally all there was. They didn't add anything new. There was no new storyline wrinkle. There was no new move. There was no big spot. There was nothing. It was spamming the same finishers over and over and over again, and then a finish that just came out of nowhere, and I think left most people feeling very underwhelmed. So the main event left a lot to be desired. I do like the fact that we have one unified champion. I'm hoping that it'll stay that way for a while, but I think before long, they got the 2 networks. I think they're both going to want their own champions, and titles will be ununified. Of course, in order for that to happen, I was going to say, in order for that to happen, Roman has to lose. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. They actually could do something where he gives one of them up. Realistically, though, he would have to be beaten. And then they can do a separation of the titles again if they ever want to. But that's the other question. Coming out of this WrestleMania, Roman Reigns wins, as I suspected he would. Now what? Now what? Roman Reigns, talks about being in God mode, and it feels that way. He feels like God here in this company. He cannot be beaten. Michael Cole had a very interesting statistic before the main event started. Roman Reigns has not been pinned or made to submit since December of 2019. That is how long it has been since Roman Reigns was beaten by anybody. Now, that's great for Roman Reigns. They've built up this monster champion. But now where do you go with him? Who is the next obvious challenger? Are they going to continue the feud with Brock? They probably will. because Brock, I think, is supposed to be on the next pay-per-view. There could be another Brock Lesnar-Roman Reigns match yet to come. This might not have been the last one. But let's look beyond Brock. Let's say Brock is going to lose again. We look beyond Brock. Who is next in line? Drew McIntyre feels like somebody they would want to save for later in the year, maybe later in the summer. Maybe he's the one to take that championship away from Roman Reigns. But what do you do in the meantime? Who does Roman challenge, or who does Roman feud with in the months in between now and then? This is where the chickens come home to roost when you don't do a good job of building up challengers to realistically and believably challenge Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar. You're left with nobody. Bobby Lashley is on Raw. Now, Roman Reigns is the unified champion. In theory, that means he can appear on both shows. So the good thing about that is it opens it up to people like a Bobby Lashley who just went babyface. You could do Reigns and Lashley. Have a program between them. The newly babyface Bobby Lashley. Maybe that's why Bobby Lashley went over on Omos tonight. They wanted to give him a big win against the Giant to keep him credible because maybe he's going to challenge Roman Reigns. That's a possibility. But even with him, the options are few and far between. That's WWE's own fault. They've done a piss poor job of building up credible challengers for Roman Reigns in the last 2 years. And they're going to feel the impact of that now, coming out of WrestleMania. Roman Reigns gets that elusive win over Brock Lesnar. Brock was the one man he could not beat at WrestleMania. He lost at 31 when it turned into the triple threat. He lost at 34. Tonight he got his revenge. Very bizarre. No blood or anything. You had Brock going around. I want blood. I'm coming for your blood. And it felt like, Brock bleeds in almost every match. We didn't even get any of that in the main event. But we look at the rest of the show. What else did we have on this show tonight? Well, we got one last confrontation between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon, like we were transported back to 1999. Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin, one last round in the ring tonight. And it wouldn't be like old times unless Vince McMahon was taking the absolute worst fucking stunner in the history of mankind. This will go down maybe as the worst. And I say the worst. There have been worse looking stunners, but not at WrestleMania. Not at WrestleMania. Now, Austin was a good sport about it. He realized how awful it was. He couldn't do anything but just laugh hysterically. But it's too bad. If that is the last stunner he ever gives Vince McMahon, that Vince couldn't take it. They did a segment at the Barclays Center for the 25th anniversary of Raw only a few years ago. I mean, literally like 3 years ago, maybe. And they did a segment between them. He gave Vince a stunner. Vince actually took the stunner just fine. For whatever reason, he completely fucked it up. And that was unfortunate, but in a lot of ways, it did kind of feel like old times. Vince never really did a very good job of taking that stunner. But I also was left, after the Pat McAfee and the Austin Theory stuff, and those guys went out there and they fucking killed it. They tore down the house. And I said coming into the show, I think that could be a very entertaining match. Far better than Pat McAfee against Vince McMahon, which was, I believe, first reported all those weeks ago by Dave Meltzer. And then it ended up being McAfee and Theory, and people were like, oh, Meltzer's wrong again. Where are all those people now, huh? Where are all those people now? You rag on the guy when he's wrong? Well, guess what? Meltzer was right. We ended up getting Vince McMahon in the ring in a match tonight against Pat McAfee. Apologize. Apologize to Dave. I wish he was wrong. The best thing I can say about that is they kept it short. But the McAfee match with Austin Theory, the Johnny Knoxville match with Sami Zayn, two of the best matches on the WrestleMania card this year. Even Logan Paul, I didn't think that was one of the better matches, but Logan Paul looked really good in his match. So all of the celebrity involvement in WrestleMania this year in terms of all the matches turned out to be pretty good. In terms of how they carried themselves, how they looked out there in the ring. I think the Johnny Knoxville match will probably have a lot of divided opinion about that, and we'll get into why as far as what happened in that match. But McAfee was tremendously over. Johnny Knoxville was tremendously over. I don't know what that says about the WWE roster, that those guys were more over than 95% of the people that work for the company full time. But I enjoyed those matches, and then we had Edge and AJ Styles, who I also thought had a very good match. We're going to cover it all. We got a lot to get into here. This is your Night 2 WrestleMania 38 review. I am the Solomonster, here on the Solomonster Sounds Up channel. Do me a favor if you would. Thank you. Do what Sasha Banks is doing on my screen right now. Give this video a thumbs up. Let's see how many we can wrangle up here. We're going to have a lot of people coming in and out tonight. All you got to do is hit that like button, hit that sub button if you are not a subscriber. Channel memberships are open if you'd like to join, and super chats, they are open as well. I will be reading all of your messages. A little bit later on, we're going to be doing that, hanging out for a little while. And as we did last night, we got one more Wrestle Rumble contest to go. Wrestle Rumble Championship Gold Rush. We gave 4 replica belts away last night in last night's contest. Tonight, it's the 3 that you see on your screen. We're going to pick 3 winners who get the AWA belt. Second place winner gets the NWA belt. And the first place winner is going to get a special custom-made WrestleMania Moments belt courtesy of WrestleRumble.com. And that is going to be coming up a little bit later on in the stream. So, a lot to get into here. Echo Vision says, what did I think of the show? I just talked for fucking 15 minutes. I'm going to get into the details of what I thought as I go along. I promise you. I'm not going to keep you hanging. Mike Rome announced tonight the attendance figure for WrestleMania as 77,453. Now, he said 77,000. The graphic that they put on the screen, though, said 78,453. So I don't know where those extra 1,000 people came from, but take your pick which number you want to believe. Last night was 77,000. Tonight it was 78 if you believe the number on your screen. I don't believe either number. So believe what you want. There were a lot of people in the building. I'm not going to quibble over how many people, because honestly, I don't give a shit. The building was packed, the people were loud, and that's all that matters. We opened tonight with actually one of the more memorable moments of WrestleMania. A surprise appearance by Triple H. Out to his original theme music, not the King of Kings. But he was out to Time to Play the Game. Comes out in his suit, walks out. This man is lucky to be alive. And so it was very nice to see him walk out there looking healthy, breathing. Paul Hamilton. Oh my goodness. I'm going to choke to death here. I saw that super chat pop up. It's going to be coming in any second. Paul Hamilton coming in hot with the $100 super chat bomb. Paul, I'm glad you're joining tonight. Hang out for a little bit. Triple H comes out. He goes down to ringside, hugs his 3 girls in the front row. I didn't see Stephanie there, but he hugs his 3 daughters in the front row. He did the water spit, posed in the ring, did the whole deal. He thanked the fans and wanted to show in the best way possible, the best way that he knew how, and he introduced us to WrestleMania. He welcomed us to WrestleMania. We got our show opening fireworks display. When they cut back to the ring, Triple H was already out of the ring, and the only thing left were a pair of boots. And the microphone was laying next to the boots in the ring. It was a pair of Triple H's wrestling boots. Of course, that signifies someone's retirement. Triple H already announced his retirement a couple of weeks ago. But this was his way of coming out in front of the audience and having that moment and, following this tradition of leaving his boots in the ring. Hey, didn't Cody Rhodes do that in AEW? Remember when Cody left his boots in the ring after he lost on television? Who did he lose to on TV, by the way? I'm trying to remember who he lost to in that match when he left the boots in the ring. I don't think it was a Go-Go. It was somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but anyway, so that was a nice moment. That was a nice moment. And again, very happy to see him just doing well, because obviously he was near death and it was a very scary experience. So very cool, I think, to open the show with Triple H. Mike Rome then introduced Gable Steveson in the front row. That is the second introduction that he got. Last night, Stephanie McMahon came out and introduced him on stage, and he waved and he went to the back. But they introduced him here in the front row. Elijah with the Mantar super chat. It wouldn't be a WrestleMania stream unless I heard that Mantar bellow interrupting me in the background. Thank you, brother. I'm going to have a lot of fun going through all these messages later, man. They were coming in hot even before I went live. But yes, we will be going through everything a little bit later on. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. The Brody Lee Memorial, is that what it was? That might be what I'm thinking of when Cody lost. Malachi. Okay. It was Malachi Black. So keep in mind Gable Steveson front row because that's going to play a role in this opening match, or at least post-match. The opening match last night was for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Poor Rick Boogs left it all out there in the ring, ended up injured. He's going to be gone for a while. Tonight, we open with the Raw Tag Team title match. It's only appropriate if we open with the SmackDown Tag title match last night. We do the Raw belts tonight. We had Randy Orton and Matt Riddle, the Street Profits, and the Alpha Academy. I thought this was a lot of fun, and the closing minutes of this match were excellent. Montez Ford at one point looked like he was going to go for a stinger splash in the corner on Chad Gable, but instead, because he's a madman, he did a dive out over the post. So he did a leaping dive over Chad Gable, over the ring post, out onto everybody else on the floor and wiped them out. Gable then followed that up with a moonsault to the floor. Alpha Academy was working over Riddle for a little while until he got the hot tag to Randy Orton. The people love Randy Orton. Always gets a big reaction. And yeah, we talk about how much fun Brock Lesnar looks like he's having out there in the ring now in this latest run. At least until tonight. Randy Orton also looks like he's out there having the time of his life. And even when he does interviews, he says he's having a blast doing this team with Riddle. And it's amazing to think that this was never supposed to be a long-term thing. They were supposed to team up maybe once, twice at the most, and then break them up. And then I think Orton, that might have been around the time that Orton disappeared for a while. I think he got COVID, although nobody knew that at the time. But they ended up staying together. They are still the most over act on Monday Night Raw after all this time. People love this RK Bro team. So Orton tags in, and he runs wild for a little bit. Crowd came alive. Orton hit Montez Ford with some clotheslines, got a snap power slam, backdropped him onto the announce desk. Chad Gable also got dumped onto the announce desk. Orton and Riddle gave Ford and Dawkins stereo draping DDTs. They were setting up for RKOs. They got yanked out of the ring by Gable and Otis. Otis held up Montez Ford, and Chad Gable performed the Bulldog from the top rope. A little tribute to the Steiner brothers, who just went into the Hall of Fame this weekend. Street Profits fought back. Dawkins put Gable on his shoulders, and Montez Ford hit this giant blockbuster from the top rope. Montez Ford, the height that this guy gets, whether it's the blockbuster here or the frog splash, it's just amazing to see. No human being should be able to get that kind of spring up into the air the way that he does. So he hit this giant blockbuster for a near fall. Orton went for an RKO on Dawkins, who stuffed the attempt, gave him a spine buster. Dawkins dove out onto Otis on the floor. Ford went up top, and Matt Riddle, as Montez Ford is on the top rope and he's preparing to do something, here right beside him now, up springboarding onto the top rope, is Matt Riddle. And Riddle launches himself off the rope and takes Montez Ford down through the air for an RKO. A beautiful RKO from him, and then Chad Gable jumps off the top rope, and Randy Orton catches him with a picture-perfect RKO. I watched that replay of it. I mean, you could not have executed this any better. The man's timing is unfucking believable. People can say whatever they want about Randy Orton. Some people think, well, yeah, he's too slow for their taste. They think he's boring or whatever. But his timing, that's really, I think, what people put him over for more than anything else. He just has a knack for being in the right place at the right time. And he was here for this RKO. He gets the pin. RK Bro retained the tag team titles. Those last 2 RKOs, thing of beauty. So I thought it was a great opener, a really fun match. After the match was over, the Street Profits got into the ring. And they had their red solo cups. So they give some solo cups to Orton and Riddle. They're pouring some stuff in. Montez Ford looks over and he spots Gable Steveson in the front row. And he tells him, come on in and join the party. So Gable Steveson jumps the guardrail. He gets into the ring. And they're all toasting when Chad Gable comes in from out of nowhere and he smacks the cup right out of Gable Stevenson's hand. Stevenson takes his shirt off because if somebody knocked the cup out of my hand, that's the first thing I would do. I would take my shirt off. I don't think people would like to see that, but that's what I would do. Chad Gable got the mic, and he went to go say something. Gable Steveson ripped the mic out of his hand. Chad took it back and said, look, you're just getting started here. Basically, you're a rookie. You're new here. You have a lot left. You have a lot to learn here in this company. And he said he wanted to give him a lesson. He told him to shoosh. Told the man to shoosh. Gable then gave Gable a belly-to-belly overhead suplex. I'll let you figure out which Gable did what. Somebody is getting a name change soon. And I got news for you. It ain't Gable Steveson. Somebody's getting a name change. I hope that Shorty G does not make a return soon. I'd be very surprised if they allow more than one Gable on Monday Night Raw at the same time. But this opener was great. We had Omos one-on-one against the almighty Bobby Lashley, who did not have MVP in his corner. I hope that's not a permanent change. Lashley tried to suplex him early. Omos stuffed the attempt. Lashley went for the hurt lock. Omos powered out of it, and he knocked him down. Lashley climbed up top. He dove off, and Omos just caught it like a little baby. Lashley's a big dude. Lashley's every bit of 260, 270. And Omos just caught him out of midair. Because Lashley is no small man. Hoisted Lashley up over his head, dropped him down to the mat. Then he put Lashley in a bear hug, and he drove him backwards into the corner. And this was very scary. He drove Bobby Lashley. He went backwards into the corner. And the back of Lashley's head hit the ring post. And they showed a replay of it, and you can see his head just, boom, just smacked the back of that ring post. Now, it didn't open him up or anything. There was no blood. He didn't have a knot on his head. I don't know how. Maybe he does now. Maybe it took a while, but he seemed to be okay. But it looked and sounded very nasty. So Omos maintained the bear hug. Lashley eventually got out of it. Tried for the suplex again. He consistently was trying to give this man a suplex. And I don't know how smart that is, given that he was out nursing a shoulder injury, but he was attempting to suplex this man a couple of different times. It didn't work. On the third attempt, though, he got the big man over. Now, it wasn't like a delayed vertical suplex or anything like that. It was actually more of a quick snap suplex, but nonetheless, he took the big guy off his feet and gave him a suplex. Lashley waited for him to get back to his feet. He delivered a very awkward-looking spear. He speared him from behind. They claimed it was in the kidneys. Hey, Elijah, thank you for becoming a Sound Off superstar, my friend. Welcome to the club. So yeah, this looked awkward. It looked like maybe it was by design. At first, I thought maybe Omos was out of position. So he gave him this very awkward spear to the kidneys from behind, and then after that, he ended up giving him a regular one. That's why I thought maybe Omos was just out of position. But he gave him that second spear, and he pinned him 1, 2, 3, and he hands Omos his first loss, his first singles loss in WWE. I was pleasantly surprised by the finish. I was not pleasantly surprised by the match. I didn't think the match was really any good. I mean, it followed the basic blueprint for a lot of these giant matches, like Great Khali back in the day. You know, every now and then you get this big guy who they bring in. They try to book him like a giant because there isn't really much they can do. There wasn't much that Khali could do. He had bad knees. There isn't much that Omos can do either. Omos is very limited in what he can do. He's very boring. You look at the guy, and yes, he looks, imposing because he's gigantic. But once the bell rings and he has to actually work, it's fucking boring. I saw nothing in this match that changed my opinion of Omos, but I was very happy to see Lashley not get squashed in this match. Because that was my thought. They're going to put this guy over. They're feeding Lashley to him. And they didn't do that. Maybe because they know they're going to need Lashley to feed, not to Omos, but to Roman Reigns very soon. Because Roman Reigns is going to need opponents for that championship. But now that Omos has been beaten, how long do you think before Vince McMahon has him dancing on TV? How long do you think? A few weeks? Maybe a month? I'm still waiting to see what Undertaker sees in Omos that he would, as he did several months ago. He referred to Omos. He said he told Omos, he paid him the ultimate compliment. I guess maybe he saw him at the Performance Center or something. And he said that in his mind, Omos is the closest thing that they've ever had to Andre the Giant. He is the closest thing that he has seen in this company to Andre in all the years that Undertaker has been in WWE. So now that Undertaker is officially retired and he's in the Hall of Fame, hopefully now Undertaker can go get that LASIK surgery that he's been putting off. Maybe as a member of the Hall of Fame, they give you a good vision plan. Hopefully the Undertaker can put it to good use. Because I don't know what the fuck he's looking at. Then we had Sami Zayn, one-on-one against Johnny Knoxville. Our first celebrity match of the night. This was anything goes, no disqualifications. That way they can use all their plunder and all their toys, and they can have all their special guests interfering in the match without having to worry about any disqualifications. You knew coming into this that you were not going to get Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. Okay, there's nobody in this chat right now who honestly believed coming into tonight that this was going to be a technical masterpiece. Pat McAfee, who wrestled later in the show, we've seen Pat McAfee go in there and have a great wrestling match with Adam Cole in NXT. Some people just have an aptitude for it. And when Johnny Knoxville was in the Royal Rumble, he played his part fine. He didn't embarrass himself, but Johnny Knoxville is not a wrestler. Johnny Knoxville is not coming into this match tonight to do headlock takeovers and ranas and all kinds of shit. You knew what you were getting with this match. You knew that this was going to be a spectacle. And as spectacles go, the crowd ate it up. The people love this. The people in the building love this. Love is a very strong word. I reserve the word love for the things and the people that I actually love. I did not love this, but I was entertained by it. I was sports entertained by this match. Not going to hate on this match. I knew exactly what this was going to be, and I thought that for what it was, they delivered. Thought it was fun. There was an immediate haluva kick right after the bell rang. Sami took Knoxville down with that kick to the face right away. Sami started instigating some of the Jackass Forever cast that were in the front row outside. He was taunting them and basically, daring them to, come over and do something to him. And one of them had to be held back. So then Knoxville blasted him in the face, sprayed him in the face with a fire extinguisher. Sami got control back in the ring. He hit Knoxville with a cookie tray, which Michael Cole was openly mocking the fact that the cookie tray doesn't hurt. You could see, he was basically saying, boy, that cookie tray, it hurts. And then if you look in the background, you can see the announcers in the background. You could almost see the smile on Cole's face. Why don't you just bury the whole fucking thing while you're at it? So he hits him with a cookie tray, hits him with a crutch, garbage can. Sami's working him over. Sami went to go retrieve a table from underneath the ring. And he got snapped by something. And he pulled his hand back. And then he reached back under the ring and he pulled the table out, and it was a table that was covered in mouse traps. So he didn't really seem too keen on using that. Zayn gave Knoxville an exploder through a table that was propped up against the corner. He went for the pin, and Johnny Knoxville kicked out. So now they have celebrities kicking out of exploder suplexes through tables. So Johnny Knoxville lives to fight on. Knoxville blew an air horn as Sami was coming in for another haluva kick attempt. He blew the air horn, and this stopped Sami in his tracks. And I think he fell down, so apparently the air horn is a very powerful weapon. All of a sudden, Chris Pontius jumps in the ring, one of the Jackass members. Pontius gets in the ring to distract Sami. He pulls off his shirt. He pulls off his pants. He's wearing like a fucking thong in there. It's a horrible sight. He's the fucking party boy here in this ring. He's dancing and prancing around. And Michael Cole called him Naked Midian 2.0. There never should have been a Naked Midian 1.0, let alone a 2.0. Zayn beat the crap out of him and stuffed him under the ring. So when he stuffs him under the ring, Sami goes to check for more. I think he was checking for more plunder underneath the ring. And he gets punched. He gets punched by Wee Man. The same Wee Man who got put through a table at the hotel bar a few weeks ago by Brock Lesnar. Or actually, maybe it was in January for the Royal Rumble. There was a whole TMZ story about Brock Lesnar slamming this guy through a table legit, and the owners of the bar, the restaurant, weren't very happy about it. So here's Wee Man. And Wee Man got one of the biggest reactions of anybody on the entire show. People went wild for this guy. And he crawls out from underneath the ring like fucking Hornswoggle. He climbs out from underneath, gets this ridiculous ovation, climbs into the ring, gets an even bigger ovation once he gets in the ring. And he picks up Sami Zayn, and he body slams Sami Zayn. Now, Hogan Andre, this was not. But again, credit to Sami. I'm going to put Sami over here in a second. But this was one of those spots where, Sami has to, steady himself. And he went up for it. And Wee Man even held him there for a few seconds. And then he slammed him down and everybody cheered. And I'm just thinking, where is Brock Lesnar right now? I know he's got a match later on tonight. But I'm just thinking, where is Brock Lesnar when you need him? Where is Brock Lesnar to come out and teach this little fucker a lesson after what happened the last time? So Knoxville caught Sami with a tornado DDT from the middle rope, the biggest wrestling move he did the entire match. Went for the pin, and he damn near got it, but Zayn got a shoulder up or he kicked out at the last moment. So then Wee Man grabs this contraption from outside the ring. And he brings it inside. It's one of these Jackass contraptions. It's got like a prosthetic foot and leg. I mean, you could see where this is going, right? So they set the contraption, this whole device up in the ring. Zayn, though, blasts Wee Man with a boot to the head, which got him a ton of heat. When he kicked this little fucker in the head, he went down, and everybody booed. And this was Sami Zayn's King Kong Bundy moment. This reminded me of King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania 3 when he dropped the big elbow on Little Beaver. That's what this moment was here for Sami Zayn. So Zayn went to the top rope. Knoxville held up a remote control, and he triggered a pyroblast. And pyro shot up from the ring post behind where Zayn had climbed up to the top rope, and in that corner there was like a blast of sparklers or pyro, whatever it was. And Knoxville, so that knocks Sami down. Knoxville then grabs a bowling ball. He's going all Al Snow on Sami Zayn here. Hey, shout out to Bobby's World. 2110 dropping the $100 bomb here on WrestleMania night. We're going out in style this weekend. You guys are coming out in full force. I like it. I like it. I'm going to read that message in a little bit. We're creeping up closer, by the way, to 700 likes. I want to hit at least 1,000. We have to do at least 1,000 tonight. We have a lot more than 1,000 in here right now. So let's set the initial goal for 1,000, because the higher it gets, the more visibility you guys are going to get on this video. So now poor Sami is down, and he's in the corner, and Knoxville has a bowling ball, and he rolls the bowling ball right into Sami's crotch. Knoxville then brings Sami over to that contraption that Wee Man brought into the ring a little bit earlier. He brings him over to it. He sets it off, and the prosthetic leg kicks Sami right in the nuts, or the groin, as Michael Cole said, and down goes Sami Zayn. So they're incorporating various jackass stunts here which you had to imagine they would. So Knoxville pulls out a taser, and Sami rolls out of the ring. He's trying to escape. Knoxville is in full pursuit, and as Sami goes to run away, there is a giant hand that springs out from out of nowhere and smacks him right in the face. Just like something, I'm sure they've done this on Jackass, but that's straight out of Wipeout. If you've ever watched Wipeout, I'm not even talking the new John Cena version. I haven't watched that yet. I used to watch Wipeout with John Henson and John Anderson. They used to have it on ABC. And always, they'd be doing the obstacle courses, and invariably they would get smacked in the face by a hand or some kind of like a bar or something. So it whacked Sami right in the face, or, Mae Young's son. And down goes Sami. Zayn goes up top, though. He recovers. He goes up top. Knoxville used a weapon of some kind. I don't know if it was like clamps or what it was, on his balls. And then he shoves Sami off the top rope, and Sami takes this giant bump down through the table full of mousetraps on the floor. So he's in a heap. All of a sudden, the Jackass crew, they pull Sami into the ring, and they pull out a giant, oversized mousetrap. This is the biggest mousetrap that you've ever seen in your life. Sami is back in the ring, and he tases. Knoxville tases Sami in the gut. Sami falls right onto the mousetrap. And Knoxville went to go trigger the mousetrap, and he was having some trouble with it. He's probably thinking to himself, well, fuck, this thing worked fine in rehearsal. But of course, when you're on live TV in front of 65,000 people, or 77 as they claimed, 78, of course, shit's going to go sideways. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. So he was having a little bit of trouble with it. He started fiddling with it, and eventually it did trigger. And the bar comes down, and Sami has to lay there and pretend like the bar is so heavy, or it's like locked in place like a real mousetrap, and he can't move, even though it's so patently obvious that if he wanted to, he could just lift the fucking thing up. But he has to lie there and pretend like, oh, he's trapped, he can't move. It's like not exactly a Rock being held down by that pallet by Mankind in their empty arena match on Halftime Heat, where he lowered the pallets down on The Rock. The Rock was trapped. He couldn't go anywhere. Sami, in this case, had to pretend that he couldn't go anywhere. So he got trapped, and Johnny Knoxville got the pin. Johnny Knoxville beats Sami Zayn. Here at WrestleMania, he beats him with a mousetrap. This was what you would have expected it to be. It was a stunt show. That's what it was. It was a stunt show, but as stunt shows go, I thought it was stupid, but I also thought it was stupid in an entertaining way. And Sami Zayn, if I may take a moment here, Sami Zayn is fantastic. Whatever they give him, no matter how ridiculous it might be, he takes it and he knocks it out of the park. And this was no different. I thought Sami was great here. He played his role perfectly. And look, the fans ate it up. The people were going nuts for this. They were enjoying themselves. They were having fun with it. So, this was fine. And you know what the best part was? The Intercontinental Championship had nothing to do with it. Now, the Intercontinental title wasn't even on the show, but can you imagine if Sami was the champion getting pinned in a mousetrap by Sami Zayn? You may as well bring a garbage can into the ring and set it on fire and drop the fucking thing in the garbage can. So, of course, they had to get that title off of him. Ricochet wasn't a much better choice, given the way he's booked, but at least it wasn't for a championship. At least it wasn't for the title. But I thought this was entertaining enough. We then had a fatal four-way for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Sasha Banks and Naomi, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler and Natalya, and the Women's Tag Team Champions were, of course, Carmella and Queen Zelina. Carmella is going to be getting married, I think, next week, and then her and Corey Graves are going to be going away on their honeymoon, which probably should have been a giveaway that the titles were going to change hands here, but I stuck to my guns in my prediction. I thought the champs would retain because everybody just assumed that they were going to lose the titles here tonight, which is exactly what happened. Naomi walks out on stage. No Sasha Banks. Naomi gets her own entrance, but here comes Sasha. And Sasha Banks rides out. She drives out onto the stage in a lime green Lamborghini. Sasha riding in style here at WrestleMania. So Zelina gave Morgan a code red, which she got from her cousin, the Amazing Red, House of Glory's Amazing Red. That's where she picked it up from. So she hits the code red. Ripley broke up the cover. Everybody jumped in. They were trading moves. Carmella brought Ripley down off the top with a Hurricane Rana. Zelina followed with a dive out to the floor. A few moments later, Morgan and Ripley, they executed stereo Tower of Doom spots in opposite corners. Ripley and Morgan gave Naomi a combo Riptide backstabber, but Sasha Banks broke up the pin. Sasha gave Carmella a frog splash for a near fall, and she applied a crossface, but Zelina pulled her out to safety. Banks wiped out Zelina on the floor with a Meteora off the apron. Banks and Naomi hit Carmella with a combo glam slam into a code breaker, which I don't know if I've seen them use that before. That might have been the first time I've seen them use that. But anyway, glam slam into the code breaker, and Sasha pins Carmella to win the Women's Tag Team Championship. So yet again, Sasha Banks is a Women's Tag Champion. This time, she has a new tag team partner, and you know what that means. You know what that means. You know what? I got to bust out the confetti for this celebratory occasion here. Let's get some confetti here on the stream. Let the confetti rain down. Sasha Banks is no longer undefeated in wins. I butchered that. Sasha Banks is no longer looking for her first win at WrestleMania. The streak is over. Sasha Banks finally won a match. She came into WrestleMania tonight 0 for 6. And I thought that she was going to go 0 for 7, but in fact, she did pick up her first win. I wish it was a more memorable match than this, because this was nothing. What was this? Nobody's going to remember this match. So I wish it was something a little more meaningful. I wish ideally it was a big singles match or something. But she finally gets a win here at WrestleMania. The match itself I thought was okay. The match was all right. But, I don't care about any of this. It is impossible to care about the women's tag team titles because they don't. And if they don't care, then why should I? So now Sasha is back in a tag team, and we'll see. Maybe it'll lead to a story where she and Naomi split and the two of them feud. Maybe Sasha will go heel again at some point. We'll get a Sasha-Naomi feud out of this. But for now, she is back in the tag team division. Then we had Edge, one-on-one against AJ Styles. This is one of the matches I was looking forward to at WrestleMania this year the most. This was probably the match that I was most looking forward to this year at WrestleMania. I was looking forward to 3 things. Austin and what he was going to do with Kevin Owens. Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, and seeing Cody's big return to the company. Both of those things delivered last night. The other thing that I was looking forward to was this. And it was hard for me to envision these two going out there and doing anything but delivering. And deliver they did. AJ Styles comes out to make his entrance. The pyro goes off. And AJ is walking down the ramp, and they zoom in. And AJ is bleeding. He's got, and he's bleeding. I mean, it's not like all over his face, but he's bleeding quite a bit from the cheek. And you look at him, and it looks, and he looked angry. He had like this kind of moody look on his face. And I thought, well, he got into a fight with somebody. Either that or, as he was coming out, John Cena punched him in the face. Because I didn't see anything happen. He walked out, and all of a sudden the camera zoomed in, and he's bleeding. I'm like, oh, John Cena punched him. But now he looked like he maybe got in a fight. He got in a scuffle with somebody at the gorilla position before he came out. Maybe Maybe he was supposed to win, and Vince says, "Oh, by the way, you're going to lose," and they ended up getting in a fight. No, none of that happened. And it wasn't pyro. I know some people said, oh, it was a pyro accident. It was not a pyro accident. Shout out to NYC Demon Diva, Issa. She, I believe, was at the show. She posted the clip when AJ walked out. So if you look at the stage they used for WrestleMania this year, where the people were entering, it's in the shape of a star, right, for the Lone Star State. She took the video. I believe it was her who took the video. When AJ walks out, he didn't realize that part of the star was kind of protruding out, and he walked right into it. Clear as day. If you watch the video back on Twitter, Wrestling Inc. put the clip. It's like a 30-second clip on the Wrestling Inc. Twitter account. He just walked into it. Didn't realize that it was there. That's where he cut his cheek. So there's no nefarious story here. There was no pyro accident. The stage got him. The stage got him. He can't blame anybody but himself. But yeah, at first, it's like, what the hell happened? I know Goldberg used to headbutt the locker and bust himself open before he would go to the ring, but I look up and I see AJ's already gigging himself here. I'm like, what's going on here? So that was kind of strange. Edge came out. Edge probably had the entrance of WrestleMania this year. I mean, obviously Stone Cold coming out. I mean, any Stone Cold entrance is going to be a big deal. But I mean, in terms of the elaborate entrance, Edge had the best entrance of WrestleMania this year. He was sitting in a throne. I know some people might think that it's more Triple H-esque. My first thought when I saw him, as he was sitting on this throne, being raised up from the stage with flames around him, I thought of the Ministry. I said that he's trying to do his best Ministry Undertaker impression here with this entrance, which kind of makes sense because at one time Edge was part of the Ministry. But he looked really creepy. He had that whole, the music now, the new music that he uses. It was a really badass entrance. With the new Alter Bridge song that he's using. It was a very cool entrance. So AJ had the early advantage after nailing Edge right in the chin with a sliding knee. Edge gained control, though, after getting his knees up when AJ went for a springboard 450. He buried those knees right in the breadbasket. Styles tried fighting back. Edge, though, drove him into the buckle. Styles came back with a suplex into the buckles. Edge applied an STF. Styles got a rope break. AJ avoided a spear, hit a springboard DDT. And Styles hit a torture rack bomb for a near fall. Edge came back with an impaler DDT for the win. So a very seesaw back and forth match. Each guy trying to put the other away, not being able to. They traded strikes until AJ hit a Pele kick. Edge applied a crossface, but Styles fought out. Edge hit the Edge-O-Matic for 2. And AJ hit a vertical suplex off the bottom buckle onto the ring apron. So he suplexed Edge onto the ring apron. Both guys barely beat the 10 count back inside. AJ hit a springboard 450 to the back for a near fall. And they were countering each other's finishers back and forth. And finally, AJ Styles, after attempting it earlier, goes for the Styles Clash, hits the Styles Clash, and only gets 2.5. Edge barely gets a shoulder up at the last moment. Styles then sets up for the phenomenal forearm, and he is suddenly distracted because someone has appeared at ringside out of nowhere. I don't know where he came from. He came out of the crowd. I have no idea. But he peers over, and the camera peers over, and we see Damian Priest. Damian Priest is standing there. AJ is confused. He's not sure why Priest is there. But he turns his attention back to the match. But that little distraction, just those few seconds that Damian Priest, his mere presence, distracted AJ, was all Edge needed to make him pay for it. AJ springs up, comes off for the phenomenal forearm, and Edge spears him out of midair. Which, this was basically the finish that they did, now that I think about it, because I was at that show. If you remember the Royal Rumble in 2008, they brought the Royal Rumble back to Madison Square Garden. There was a World Heavyweight title match on that show between Edge and Rey Mysterio. And Vicky, this is when Edge and Vicky were together, and Vicky was trying to get involved, and she inadvertently took a 619. And then Ray did a springboard off the ropes, and Edge speared him out of midair. Same finish. Springboard into the spear. But it looked good. And he got the pinfall. Edge wins the match. Edge had to win this match if they're going to continue this heel turn. And there's been rumors over the last week or so that Edge is going to be forming a new heel faction. Well, here it is. This is the beginning of that new heel faction. If this is what he's going to be doing, then Edge had to win this match. I'm sure this feud is not over. They're going to wrestle again. I hope they wrestle again. I'd like to see these two have a series of matches, just like Edge had a series of matches with Seth Rollins. All 3 matches that Edge and Seth had were great. Their best one, they saved the best for last. That Hell in a Cell match at Crown Jewel, I thought was excellent. So, I mean, who wouldn't want to see another Edge and AJ Styles match? But it made sense for Edge to win the first one. Priest got in the ring. He and Edge stared at each other. They smiled, posed, and then they walked out together. So clearly there is a new alliance formed between Edge and Damian Priest faction. Well, a faction would have to include at least one more person. We'll see who that member might be. I love the pairing of Edge and Priest. And before I even talk about that, I thought the match was very good. I enjoyed the match. I thought the match was very good. These two are capable of better. This match was not an all-time classic that people are going to look back on. In some ways, it reminds me, if you think of the match that Kurt Angle had with Chris Benoit at WrestleMania 17. I remember those two going out there and having a pretty good match, but it was nothing that people are going to be talking about for years to come or anything like that. It was nowhere close to the best work that those two could put in. And Kurt was still very early in his career. But they had a very good match. But they went on to have some classic matches together. AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, they had that match at WrestleMania 34. I remember being a little disappointed, a little let down, frankly, by that match. And they ended up having a whole series of matches that got progressively better each time they stepped back into the ring together. So I think this will end up being a similar type of thing where they didn't want to go through everything. They didn't want to empty out the entire toolbox because they probably know they're going to be working together again, probably a Backlash and maybe even longer than that. So you don't want to give everything away in the first match. They gave you just enough, though, I think, to give you a taste of what these two could do. So I thought it was very good, but it never rose to that level of, oh my God, this was a fantastic match. This is an all-time classic. It wasn't, but it was one of the best matches on the show. But I actually don't think it was the best match on the show. And I'll tell you what I thought was the best match on the show here in a little bit, because that was yet to come later on. But I do love the pairing, though. Edge and Damian Priest, I like that pairing a lot. It's a much-needed change for Damian Priest after they changed. They tweaked his character. He was doing well. They made that little tweak where he would get the crazy eyes and he would flip out, and he was less over. They tweaked his character and it actually made him less over. And now he's been stuck doing nothing. He was in the Andre, budget cuts battle royal the other night. Oh, by the way, speaking of the Andre the Giant Memorial budget cuts battle royal, if you remember on the stream yesterday, I mentioned that on the kickoff show, Madcap Moss, who won the battle royal this year, and in doing so probably saved himself from being cut. It's kind of like the immunity battle royal they had at Survivor Series 21 years ago. But he won the battle royal. They put the lower third on the screen to identify him when he was talking to the pre-show panel. And they actually referred to him as the winner of the Andrew the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. They actually butchered Andre's name. Either that or they gave him a name change because everybody gets a fucking name change. So Andre is no longer Andre. Andre is now Andrew. And in celebration of that, there it is right there. I am declaring myself the Andrew the Giant Memorial Battle Royal Champion. There's the official logo, the official insignia. There it is. The Andrew the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Damian Priest was in the Andrew the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on Friday night. Didn't even get an entrance. He was just out there as a nobody. So this guy was on the fast track to nowhere. They probably knew what they were planning to do with him at WrestleMania, so that was more just, let's just give him something to do. But boy, does he need it. This could not come at a better time for Damian Priest. So I like the pairing, and I said this on Twitter. If they're looking to add new members to this little new brood or whatever, obviously they're not going to call it that, but if they're going to do this new brood, if they're looking for a female member, I think Rhea Ripley would make a pretty badass addition to whatever this new faction is going to be. She's already on Monday Night Raw. She's been stuck doing tag team stuff for months. This could be perfect for her. This could really give her something fresh and new to do and shine more of a light on her, instead of her just sort of blending into the background with other people. Her with Nikki, her with Liv. She's somebody who needs to be pushed on her own as a single star on Monday Night Raw. Her being part of a group like this, I can get behind that idea. I think that would be pretty badass. Anyway, let me take my little logo there. Very proud of being the Andrew champion here in 2022. So we had the New Day against Sheamus and Ridge Holland with Butch. After their match was bumped from last night's show due to time constraints. You know, now that I've seen how long this match went tonight, you mean to tell me they couldn't get rid of one video package last night? All you had to do is get rid of one video package. You could have fit this match in last night. These guys come out here. Honestly, having seen what they did with them tonight, they may as well have bumped these fuckers off the show. If this was all they were going to do with them, why even have them on there at all? Kofi and Xavier Woods came out wearing Big E-inspired gear. Same colors that Big E was wearing the night that he won the WWE Championship. Same kind of jacket, same kind of tights that he wears, so that was very cool. And I can see why they would have been very upset if they weren't on the show. They had that gear made, they wanted to pay tribute to their buddy who's at home convalescing, and then you find out, well, you're not on the show. So whatever, at least they made it on the show. But here's how this went down. This didn't go 2 minutes. They didn't even give these guys, I don't even think they gave them 90 seconds. I think it was less than 90 seconds this went. Kofi caught Holland with the Trouble in Paradise as soon as the bell rang. He took him down. Woods got some offense in the ring for a brief period until Butch caused a distraction. Butch was running around out. He's like a fucking child, this guy. They have him acting like a rabid dog who just can't sit still. He can't stand still. He's always going after people. He's like a fucking dog with rabies. If you took a paperboy hat from the 1920s and you put it on a dog with rabies, that would be Butch. So he jumped up on the apron at one point for the distraction. That allowed Sheamus, who was not the legal man, he was lying in wait, and when Woods turned around, he ate a brogue, or his shoulder did anyway, ate a brogue kick. Down he went. Sheamus got out of the ring. Ridge Holland finished off Xavier with the Northern Grit finish, and he got the pin. This sucked. Nothing else to say about it. From Kofi Mania, WrestleMania 3 years ago, to whatever the fuck this was. It's quite the fall. But then again, I mean, this is pretty much where he was before that. Kofi Mania was an anomaly. Kofi Mania was never supposed to happen. But still, this was nothing. This was just stupid. So then they mentioned the Hall of Famers again. But this time, unlike last night, when they had all the Hall of Fame inductees or families for the ones who had passed away, they had them all out on stage, and then they introduced The Undertaker. Tonight, they just gave Undertaker another entrance. Probably because, look, you have 2 nights of WrestleMania, and not everybody is going to attend both nights. So they probably felt, much like with Austin later in the show, they probably felt like, well, let's at least give these people, the Undertaker entrance since they weren't there last night. We'll have him come out and wave, and that's what he did. He came back out. He wasn't in his gear. He was in his suit. He had his tie on. He looked around. He acknowledged the crowd. He got another big ovation. He waved, and he left. And that was it. So everybody got to see The Undertaker one last time. Next up was what I think, as I sit here and I think back to this show tonight. And I enjoyed Edge and AJ. Like I said, I thought it was very good. But when I look back on night 2 of WrestleMania, my vote for match of the night goes to this next match. Pat McAfee one-on-one with Austin Theory. I believe to be the match of the night on WrestleMania Sunday. Vince McMahon got the first entrance. He came out to No Chance in Hell and walked down to the ring, and he introduced Austin Theory as the future Universal Champion, which was very interesting. He didn't say future WWE or Universal. He said future Universal Champion. And he introduced Austin Theory. Theory came down to the ring. He took a pair of selfies with McMahon in the ring, and then Vince left to go sit next to the announcers. He was going to be an observer at ringside watching this next match. For Pat McAfee's entrance, of course, Pat McAfee, former NFL punter, they had the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders come out on stage, and he entered to Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes, which the crowd proceeded to hum for much of the duration of his match. Michael Cole admitted on commentary as Vince McMahon was coming out. Michael Cole basically said, look, normally it's my job to be impartial here at the announce desk. But he said, tonight, I'm letting everybody know I can't be impartial. I'm not going to be impartial. I'm going to be very partial to my partner on SmackDown, Pat McAfee. And he was Pat's biggest cheerleader here during this match. Actually, if you look in the background where you can pick up where the announcers are at different points in the match, Cole was standing, which is something that McAfee does. He gets so excited, McAfee, that he stands instead of sitting down sometimes. He's starting to rub off on Michael Cole. That's not a bad thing necessarily, but he's starting to rub off on Michael Cole. So McAfee hit a pretty impressive jumping Hurricane Rana in this match. Theory came back with a backbreaker across the knee. Theory ended up on the apron. McAfee hit him with a shoulder block that sent Theory crashing into the announce desk. McAfee went outside, and he put on the headset that he was wearing earlier in the night, because he was doing commentary tonight until the match before this, and then he went to the back to go get ready for his match. But he put the headset on, and he proceeded to narrate his own match there for about 30 seconds. He was ramming Theory face first into the announce desk while he insulted him and did commentary. So this crowd was, let me tell you how hot this crowd was for Pat McAfee. They cheered for this guy the entire time. They were loud. They chanted his name. They hummed his song. These people were big into Pat McAfee on this show. And so part of the reason I like this match so much and it was so fun to watch is that you had, that background soundtrack of the crowd. They were so loud and so into everything that was going on here, even every near fall and everything. Yeah, look, that's a big part of a match. The crowd reaction is a big part of these matches. You can watch a technically sound wrestling match that in a different building with people going nuts, you would think is a 5-star match. But if it's in front of a crowd that doesn't give two shits about it, I'm going to look at that match and go, it was all right, but, it wasn't terribly exciting. The reason I look back on The Rock and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18, and I called that a 5-star match. Some people might say, how is that a 5-star match? It was Hulk Hogan, and he was already washed up, and they didn't do much. They didn't have to do much. The crowd made that match. If you took that match and you put that in another building with people who just shit all over it or didn't care, then I wouldn't think nearly as highly of the match as I do. But the crowd can be very important. Whether they're up, whether they're down, if they're sitting on their hands, it does affect, I think, I won't speak for everybody, but I'll speak for me. It does affect my opinion of certain matches. So I was already enjoying this, but the fact that the crowd was so into this made this even more fun. So McAfee went up top. He tried for a swanton bomb. Theory moved out of the way, and so he crashed and burned. McAfee, by the way, who was that in the chat? It was Mao. Mao says the crowd is why I cannot enjoy New Japan matches. Just silence bores me. Well, the problem is right now it's even worse just because they're not allowed to cheer and boo because of COVID. So, typically the Japanese crowds, it's just a different culture, That doesn't bother me so much. Like in normal times, the crowd is very silent, but then they'll kind of raise for the high points of a match. You're not even getting that now because of all the COVID shit, because they're not allowed to cheer and boo. That's one of the reasons why Bryan Danielson hasn't gone over there yet. He says he's waiting. He's waiting to go over there until the fans were allowed to cheer and boo. Imagine going to a wrestling show and not being allowed to cheer and boo, and all you can do is clap like a seal. So unfortunately, right now in New Japan, in terms of the crowds, it kind of makes it a little less fun. But anyway, McAfee went up top. He tried for a swanton, as I said. He crashed and burned. Later on, Theory was on the ropes. And McAfee went up there to join him on the ropes. He was trying for a superplex. Theory blocked it. He shoved McAfee backwards. And McAfee did a backflip and landed on his feet. And Austin Theory could not believe this. His eyes got all wide. McAfee then did a vertical leap. And in one motion, he jumped up. Obviously, Theory was, cooperating and holding him to make sure he didn't fall. But he jumped up onto the top rope, and Theory caught a hold of him. And McAfee ended up hitting the superplex after all. Big reaction for that. Covered Theory, only got 2. Pat went for a punt kick, since that was sort of his thing for many years, right? He went for a punt kick. Theory avoided it. And Theory knocked McAfee down. He was talking some shit to him, hoisted him up onto his shoulders. He was going to go for the ATL finisher. McAfee slipped out and countered into a roll-up, and he got the 1-2-3. And AT&T Stadium exploded like it was the main event. We're so happy to see Pat McAfee pick up the win here in this match. Dare I say, I'll say it again, match of the night. Not the match of the weekend, but the match of the night of WrestleMania for me was this match right here. But this is where it ended. The bell rang, the match was over. Pat could have left well enough alone. At this point, the SmackDown announce team was undefeated. Michael Cole has his one WrestleMania win since he lost, and then, of course, the decision got reversed. So technically, he is undefeated still at WrestleMania. And now Pat McAfee, in his first WrestleMania match, goes in there and gets a win. And so I put on Twitter, I said, the SmackDown announce team is undefeated. And that tweet was outdated very quickly because they are no longer undefeated. After the match was over, McAfee called out Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon was outside the ring. He was talking to Austin Theory or lecturing him, whatever it was. Pat climbs to the middle turnbuckle, looks down at Vince, and he's pointing at Vince. And he's basically saying, I'll take you on too. And Vince is looking back up at him. And all of a sudden, Vince is teasing that he's going to take his suit jacket on, but then he puts it back on and everybody boos. But then he does take it off and everybody cheers. He takes off his jacket. Vince takes off his tie. He's got the shirt, the top button unbuttoned. And it's got the sweat stains under the arms, he's already sweating. He takes off his shirt. And underneath, he's wearing a black, well, it's blank too, but a black tank top. So you remember when he entered the Royal Rumble back in 1999, or the night on Raw where he first confronted Austin? They were going to have that match. Ended up going to a no contest. He was wearing the black tank top. It might have been the same one. And look, for a guy who's 76 years old, nobody will deny the fact that Vince McMahon is in damn good shape. My fear coming into the show when Meltzer first started talking about the internal, list for WrestleMania had McAfee listed for a match with Vince McMahon, I thought to myself, that's the worst fucking idea in the entire world. The idea that Vince McMahon, who has not had a match, I don't believe, since the match he had with CM Punk on Raw back in 2012, I think it was. Maybe 2013, but I think it was 2012. The guy is 76 years old. And he looks every bit of it. I don't care how much he can rack in the gym. I don't care how much he can lift, bro. That's very different than getting in the ring and having a match. But he's in the ring. And McAfee is ready to throw down, and all of a sudden there's a referee, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? I'm getting scared now. I said, no, don't do this to me. Why is there a referee in the ring? Even Michael Cole was wondering, wait a minute, why is there a referee in the ring? And so it looked like they were about to have a match. Before they could do anything, though, Austin Theory nailed McAfee from behind. And then Vince McMahon told the referee to go ahead and ring the bell. And the bell rings. And for the second night in a row, we went from having Stone Cold Steve Austin in an official match of WrestleMania in the main event on night one. And then 24 hours later, the bell rings and we have Vince McMahon. So it took 19 years to get Austin back in the ring for a match, and it took about a decade to get Vince back in the ring. The only difference is Austin is 57 and Vince is 76. And should never be wrestling ever again for the rest of his life. As great as the Pat McAfee Austin Theory match was, once the bell rang here, it was all downhill from here. it was all downhill from it. They didn't do much. Vince didn't bump during the match. He didn't take any bumps. I mean, you look at that stunner later on, you can see why. It went about 3 minutes. It was very bad. McAfee had to basically wrestle himself. So he ran into Vince when Vince was kind of trying to throw a clothesline. So Pat had to take a few bumps for Vince and his clotheslines. McAfee got to his feet. Theory, though, tripped him and crotched him using the ring post. Theory then handed Vince a football. And Vince was teasing that he was going to punt the football into the crowd. He went to one side and then he stopped short and thought better of it. He went to the other side and again thought better of it. And so what he ended up doing is he kicked the football into Pat McAfee's ribs. And then he pinned him. Vince McMahon, in his final match, what better be his final match, gets a win over Pat McAfee. Couldn't help himself. Had to give himself the W. The match itself was awful. It was absolutely terrible. It was 3 minutes that they frankly didn't need to happen. But only Michael Cole, sadly now, is undefeated on the SmackDown announce team. Pat McAfee is he's 1-1 now. If you don't count NXT with Adam Cole, okay, it's a fresh start here on the main roster. He's 1-1. So McMahon and Theory now, they're posing for a while, and you could tell where this is going. Because I had heard that Stone Cold, they were trying to get him on the show to make one more appearance. And so it was pretty obvious where this was headed at this point. And they really were dragging this out. And then finally, there was a funny moment. I don't know how many of you picked up on this. They played Austin Theory's music after what felt like forever. I'm waiting to see if the glass is going to shatter, if somebody's going to come out here. They play Austin Theory's music, and Vince freaked because what happened is he probably thought it was Austin's theme. He was bracing himself for Stone Cold's theme, and I don't know if they were supposed to or not. They played Theory's music, and Vince, he gets this look on his face like, whoa, and then he realized that it's Theory's music, and then he calmed down. But then 5 seconds later, you hear, boom, the glass shatters. Everybody explodes. Here comes Stone Cold Steve Austin with the same jean shorts and the same knee braces he had on last night. Walking on down to the ring. What's better than getting a big pop on night one? You get two of them. You get another pop on night two. They could have 7 straight days of WrestleMania in that building, and Austin will get the same reaction each and every single time. He is part of he's in this rarefied air that very, very few people find themselves in, where he can do no wrong. And until the day that he is no longer on this earth, Stone Cold will get reactions that are bigger than pretty much anybody else. And think about how short his run on top was as Stone Cold relative to Hulk Hogan, all those years on top that Hogan had, all the years that John Cena was on top in WWE, 15 years or thereabout. Austin's run was relatively short before he had he was forced into retirement. But he just hit at the right time. He was white hot when it mattered and when wrestling was at its most popular. And so he basically bought himself. I mean, he's got this like immunity card where he can do no wrong. And yeah, I watch him when he walks out there, and I just wonder to myself what that must feel like. What must that feel like if you're in his shoes to walk out? You hear that iconic glass shatter, and you walk out there in front of all of these people, just a sea of humanity, with everybody losing their minds. And you're just this one little person standing on that stage looking out at all of this madness. And I can't even imagine what that must feel like. You've got to feel just invincible. If somebody shot you, that bullet would bounce off you and ricochet back at them. It's got to be an amazing feeling. So here comes Austin down to the ring. He attacks Austin Theory. They got Austin in the ring basically for 2 matches on back-to-back nights. The guy hasn't wrestled in 19 years. He's out there wrestling for the 2nd night in a row. So he's beating up Austin Theory. He gives Austin Theory a stunner. And Austin Theory had an all-time sell job on this stunner. Scott Hall would be proud of the sell job that Austin Theory gave on this stunner. So Austin stuns Austin, and Theory just flies up in the air. He lands, he bounces, he did another flip. I mean, completely over-exaggerated. This was the most cartoonish of bumps that you have ever seen, but I still popped for it. This was like Shawn Michaels in the ring with Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam in 2005. That's what that kind of reminded me of. Or The Rock, I guess. I guess The Rock had a similar kind of... but the way he popped up in the air, that reminded me of Scott Hall more so than The Rock. So then Austin, Steve Austin, that is, he looks at Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon looks back at Steve Austin, and we got a moment between them, what might be the final moment. I feel like we always say this could be the final moment, and then 3 years later they're back in the ring together. But Vince is not getting any younger. This could very well be the last time, certainly at WrestleMania, the last time that we will ever see Austin and McMahon. And everybody was buzzing for it because they knew what was coming up next. And Austin ends up calling for some beers. He says, "You want to drink with me? Okay, fine." He calls, and they throw some of those American lagers, the new beer that just came out. McMahon took a sip of Austin's beer. He seemed impressed by it. And they both took a big gulp. Austin kicked him in the gut, and Vince fell down. He fell way too early. Austin tried to save it. Vince, he then kind of fell backwards into the ropes. So it was bad enough that he just mistimed the move. Now he's basically, in the slowest manner possible, falling backwards into the ropes. Austin has to go over and grab him and pull him back in, and then finally give him the stunner. And again, he completely fucked it up. I mean, this could not have been any more fucked up than it was. And all Austin could really do was pop up, and he was laughing. He was laughing hysterically. Because what else are you going to do? It's the Vince McMahon stunner bump. Vince McMahon has never taken a very good Stone Cold Stunner. The very first one he ever took in Madison Square Garden, he flopped around like a fish. He looked like a fish having a stroke. There was another awful one. I think this was actually worse, but there was a terrible stunner bump that he took on Raw in 2001. And I think it was later in the fall. It was in the buildup, I think, to Survivor Series when it was Team WWF against the Invasion. It might have been the night that Kurt Angle turned on the WWF, even though he ended up being a mole. But I think it was Vince against Shane. And Austin, at the very end, and there were bodies all over the place. Kurt Angle was hitting everybody in the head with a chair. So you had just dead bodies littered all over the ring. They could barely move. Austin is kind of dragging Vince over so he can, kick him in the gut and give him a stunner. He kicks him, and he goes and Vince just drops before Austin does. It looked terrible. He just never got the timing of it. Shane took a pretty good stunner bump. Shane always sold the stunner very well. Linda McMahon did not. Linda McMahon also didn't know what the fuck she was doing, but Linda McMahon was not a wrestler. She took the tombstone from Kane just fine, but she also was not good at these stunners. So anyway, Austin had a good laugh at that. That would be kind of unfortunate, though, if that's the final stunner, the final moment that we have between Austin and McMahon. I don't know. It just feels right that Vince would fuck it up if it is the last time. Austin then invited Pat McAfee into the ring. Pat comes in. He's going to drink with Stone Cold, right? We see Pat on his show all the time. He and his buddies in studio, they're always doing the what chant. What? What? Right? He's probably a big Stone Cold fan. So he invites him into the ring, and they're drinking beers, and then he gives Pat a stunner for good measure. And Pat, the way Pat sold it, he gives him the stunner, and Pat just falls backwards. He took a less cartoonish approach to the stunner bump here. But everybody was into Stone Cold. Any excuse to get Austin out there was a lot of fun. The actual Vince match was no good, but Pat McAfee and Austin Theory had the match of the night. I thought it was very entertaining. And that leads us into the main event. The so-called biggest match in WrestleMania history. You know, I have a sound effect for that. Yeah, that's my reaction to this being billed as the biggest and best match in WrestleMania history. It was the winner-take-all championship unification match for the WWE and Universal titles between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. As I mentioned earlier, Michael Cole said that Roman Reigns has not been pinned or made to submit since December of 2019. That is this streak that he has been on. Nobody has been able to beat Roman Reigns. We got the big ring intros with Paul Heyman introducing Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar then took the microphone away from the ring announcer and did his own introduction of himself. So here we go. Here's the entire match right here. The bell rings. Brock immediately takes his gloves off before they even touch. So right away, he goes bare knuckle. And I'm thinking, all right, we're getting blood on this show. Because there was blood in the first two matches they had at WrestleMania. There was blood in the WrestleMania 31 match, and there was blood in there was a lot of blood in the WrestleMania 34 match, which Roman referenced on TV on Monday night. He said, I haven't forgotten what you did to me in New Orleans or WrestleMania 34 when you opened me up. You embarrassed me. I take that personally. Now I'm going to get revenge on you and do to you what you did to me. The angle they shot at Madison Square Garden about a month ago, where Brock got blood in the angle. So this match is about to begin. Brock takes the gloves off. And I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be a bloody mess. No blood. Now, I would rather not see Brock Lesnar opening people up hard way. I think that's just fucking stupid. Yeah, I still can't believe that John Cena and Randy Orton even allowed him to do that. But I'm not saying I wanted to see that. But this whole thing seemed to be built upon Brock literally telling Roman, I want your blood. Like he's a fucking vampire. Brock has many hats. He doesn't just have a cowboy hat. He's not just a cowboy and a farmer. He's also a vampire. Because for the last few weeks, he's been just shouting from the highest rooftop, Roman, I want blood. I want your blood. We didn't get any blood here in this match. Brock takes Reigns corner to corner. Lesnar hits the first belly-to-belly suplex, and then another, and then a third, before clotheslining him out to the floor. Lesnar spotted Heyman and starts stalking him, and Paul Heyman is beside himself, and he's begging for his life, and he's saying, it wasn't my fault, it was his idea, it was the tribal chief's idea, I love you. He's trying to buy time because he can see that Roman Reigns is coming in, he's charging in, and he spears Brock through the barricade by the timekeeper's area, a spot that we have seen with these two many times before. I'm almost positive they did it in the last match in Saudi. So Brock barely made it back into the ring in time. Probably 9.5 count, and he rolls back into the ring. We have Lesnar. After he gets back in the ring, Reigns immediately catches him with a spear. Goes for the pin. Brock kicks out at 2. Reigns sets up for the Superman punch. He connects. Down goes Brock. A second one connects. Lesnar gets back to his feet, and he's laughing. As he's recovering, he's getting back to his feet. He's laughing. He finds this funny. He gets back up. Roman tries for a third, but he gets caught with not 1, not 2, not 3, not even 4. He catches him with 5 German suplexes, one right after the other. So Brock at this point tried for the F5. Roman slipped out. He shoved him into the corner. And as he came out, he connected with another Superman punch. And this was the part in the match where I thought to myself, this is just like me when I play 2K22. You're going to see me playing more Sound Off Gamer 2K22. We're doing My Rise. We're going to be doing more gamers. And if you've seen me play this game in the past, and to be honest with you, it would be any game, because I'm not really all that good. I tend to spam a lot of moves. If I find something that works for me, I just do it over and over and over again. So I'm continuously spamming in these games. That's what this was. This was 2 guys doing the same move over and over and over again. And I know that a lot of their matches in the past looked the same way, but I just, maybe foolishly, maybe naively, I thought, well, they have built this match up as the biggest match of all time. And, you know, they've already worked together before. Maybe they're going to look to try something a little bit different here. Whether it's some kind of a storyline twist, or it's a move that they're going to use, or a big spot that they're going to do. You know, I wasn't expecting Brock to suddenly revert back to the Brock Lesnar from 2002 and 2003 and see him in there doing the fucking stretch muffler. You know, he used to do the Brock lock. But I thought we would get something different maybe. But it's just spamming the same shit over and over again. And not just Brock. Roman too. You know, Brock's been doing this now for 10 years, where it's suplex, suplex, suplex. Okay, you kind of know what to expect. Roman is really no different. Superman punch, spear. Spear, Superman punch. Superman punch, spear, spear. It's like a video game. So there was a spear, of course there was. There was a spear attempt. Lesnar scooped him up, though, when he came in, and he hit the F5. First F5 of the match. He tried for the pin. Roman kicked out. Lesnar got him up for another F5, but again, Roman slipped out, and he speared Brock into the referee. Referee Chad Patton got caught in the corner, and he got caught with that. He got sandwiched, is what he didn't really get speared, but he got sandwiched in the corner. So the referee goes down, and that is when Roman Reigns decides to deliver a low blow. Brock Lesnar has not learned his lesson after all these years. You would think after the Undertaker program, he would have learned to wear a fucking athletic supporter. You know? Stick a cup down there. Remember when Undertaker was kicking him in the dick every other week? So Roman hit him with a low blow. Heyman handed Roman the Universal title, and he tattooed Brock right in the head with it. He went for the pin as Chad Patton crawled over. Brock got his shoulder up at the last second. There was an awkward spear to Brock from behind. It was very similar to what we saw in the Omos match with Bobby Lashley earlier in the night, when Bobby gave him that awkward spear kind of to the kidneys from behind, and just looked very strange, like maybe he was out of position or something. Roman did the exact same thing to Brock here in this match. And it wasn't a case where he wasn't really working the back too much. You would say, like, well, maybe he was focusing on a specific part of the body. I don't know. It was very strange. Like, again, maybe it was botched. Maybe Brock was supposed to move or something. I don't know. Maybe Roman thought that he was going to get scooped up, and Brock didn't think they were ready for that yet, and he just stood there. I don't know. But anyway, he got speared from behind, and he was basically already in the ropes. All Brock had to do was reach up and grab the rope for the rope break. There was another spear by Roman Reigns that looked like it connected, but Lesnar actually trapped him on the way down in the Kimura lock. And so he is wrenching on the arm. And I think Paul Heyman may have, I didn't see it. Michael Cole didn't see it either, but I think Heyman may have reached in and helped Roman. But Roman eventually got the rope break. He eventually was able to grab the rope. Brock used up every bit of that 5 count. He would not let go until 4.5, and then finally he let go of the hold. Roman is laying there on the mat, and he is telling Heyman over and over again, he's going, it's out, it's out, it's out. I don't know if he was talking about 2K22, which just came out. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he was talking about something else. I assume he was talking about his shoulder. He was trying to tell him his shoulder is out. His shoulder is out. His shoulder looked okay, though, because there was an F5 attempt by Brock. Reigns, though, slipped out. He hit the spear, and he got the 3. Just like that, out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. And Roman Reigns does what he has not been able to do since WrestleMania 31, the very first time he climbed into a ring with Brock Lesnar. He beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. He couldn't do it in 2015. He couldn't do it in 2018. But he did it here in 2022. And Roman Reigns not only remains the Universal Champion, he is the new WWE Champion as well. A very abrupt finish. Felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. And I can't sit here and tell you that I was overly impressed by the match either. This is honestly one of the reasons why I hated the rematch between John Cena and The Rock at WrestleMania 29. I hated that match. I was there for the first match and the second match. Those are the first 2 WrestleManias I ever went to live. For as long as I've been a fan, for whatever reason, I never made it to WrestleMania until Miami in 2012. I liked the first match. I hated the second match. The second match just was them doing their finishers over and over and over and over again. And before then, it was boring, and then it just got to that point where it was just finisher spam. I know we see a lot of that in wrestling today. We see it in WWE. We see it in AEW. Unfortunately, we see it everywhere. But it was really bad in that match. And I just thought, man, this is fucking lazy. You know, this isn't fun. That's kind of how I felt about this. This was, as far as Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar go, this was paint-by-number stuff. And it was not the best match they've ever had. It wasn't the worst. That was, I think, 34. But it wasn't anything close to the match they had at WrestleMania 31. It was disappointing. This was a disappointment. I was looking forward to this coming in, and they left me very disappointed when this was over. There was no real extra effort put into this. This is the main event of WrestleMania. You're in front of 60,000+ people. You're in the main event of WrestleMania, a winner-take-all championship unification match that has been built up as quite literally the biggest match of all time. And they made no attempt to incorporate anything unique, anything new, anything really overly creative into this match. There were plenty of other matches on the WrestleMania card both nights that beat the shit out of this main event. Pat McAfee and Austin Theory had a more entertaining match than Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, the 2 biggest stars in the entire company, for both world championships. One of them is a universal title. It's bigger than the world. And I thought Pat McAfee and Austin Theory had a better match. I thought Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair had a better match. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. And there was no Rock. And that was not something that WWE promoted. I thought that we were going to get another surprise cameo at the end. We did when John Cena came out to confront Roman in July. We got it again in August when Brock came back and he confronted Roman after he beat John Cena. I thought, well, if Roman is going to win, are they really going to go off the air 2 years in a row with heel Roman Reigns winning and then just, gets the big pyro celebration? 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row on the second night. I think the new pattern is we'll give people the feel-good go-home moment on the first night, and then we'll have the heel go over on the second night. I think that's the new pattern going forward. 2 years in a row, they've had Roman Reigns as the heel dominant champion just pin his opponent and win. So there was no Rock coming out to tease a possible future match. Nobody came out. It didn't even have to be Rock. There was nothing. There was nothing. I'm surprised they didn't send Stone Cold back out there again. So everything about this was just, it was very, very underwhelming to me. But the championships now are unified, and that is a good thing. I am not a fan of having the two titles because there's no need for it. WWE has never done a great job of booking two really strong champions on both brands. Until now, they put the belt on Brock, they had the belt on Roman, but now they're unified. And I hope the titles stay unified for a while. I know they won't. I know they're just going to ununify them soon, most likely. But I do like the fact that we have one title. The problem with that is that you now have the unbeatable Roman Reigns. It's the same problem you ran into with Brock Lesnar when he was so dominant after he broke the Undertaker's streak and he was going around beating everybody. He beat John Cena. He beat Braun Strowman. He beat Samoa Joe. He beat this guy. He beat that guy. He beat AJ Styles. He beat Finn Balor. He beat Daniel Bryan, right? He beat everybody there is to beat. Eventually, Drew McIntyre beat him. But it just got to a point where he was so unbeatable. Nobody bought into the idea that there was anybody on the roster who had a shot. We have now reached that point with Roman Reigns. I mean, you could just go back to Roman and Brock again, but I think it's old news at this point. I'm ready to move on. Who do you move on to? You don't want to jump right into Drew McIntyre because then you have nobody. So that's where maybe a Bobby Lashley can be plugged in there. But they've done a very, very poor job of getting people ready. And they've had at least 18 months. And they've done a very poor job of getting really anybody else, frankly, ready for Roman Reigns. Who do you look at the Raw roster and the SmackDown roster? Who do you look at on either of those rosters right now at this moment? Forget Brock. Take Brock out of the equation. Who do you look at and say, that's the guy that should beat Roman Reigns? Or that's the guy who, as dominant as he has been, I can believe, at this moment, the way they're booked, could go in there and hand Roman Reigns his first loss in almost 2 years. I don't have the rosters in front of me right now. I don't think you're going to find very many people. That's a very big problem they're going to have to address now coming out of WrestleMania. He's very dominant, but at the expense of everybody else, that's not good. So, a disappointing ending to WrestleMania. I thought the second night was, overall, I thought it was good, but night one was very good. Night one was even excellent. Night one blew it, in my opinion, blew it out of the water. And there is no comparison between the two nights. But let's see what you guys think. As I said, we're going to look at the Twitter poll results, and we're going to compare what they are right now at this moment. Here are the poll results for night 2 tonight. Very different than what we saw on the stream last night. 57% thumbs up. 30% of you voted so far for thumbs in the middle. And then we have 12% thumbs down. Now, here's how this compares to night 1. That's night 2 right there. Here's night 1. Big difference. Big difference. We've got over 4,100 votes in for night 1. 83%, almost 83% thumbs up. I mean, that is a overwhelming difference between the two nights. And we already have almost 3,000 votes for tonight. I don't really see it getting any better than that. So these two polls right here, I think, tell the tale of WrestleMania this year. But, when you put them together on the whole, I do think that this is the best WrestleMania that we have had since the one in Santa Clara in 2015. That was actually the one where we got the first match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. I just think overall, top to bottom, this was the best Mania since 31. 32 was not good. 33 was not good. 34 was marginally better, but still not great. 35, also really not that great. 36 was in an empty warehouse. 37 last year was not as strong as this year. This year beats out last year's WrestleMania. They also had more people at WrestleMania this year. Last year, they capped it at about 20 or 25,000 each night. So, yeah, best WrestleMania, I think, in 7 years, I would say. So, I did mention earlier that we have a Wrestle Rumble contest, one last Wrestle Rumble contest left. I'm going to have the pleasure and the privilege of being able to choose 3 winners at random for those championships that you see on your screen. We had a lot of entries in the contest, and again, my thanks to Wrestle Rumble for allowing me the great honor of being able to pick a winner. If you guys have watched these before, you know how this works. We use the random.org list randomizer. I've already plugged in all the names, and there were a lot of them. I think a little under 2,000, I believe. So if you see duplicates here, it's because you're allowed to enter more than once. And a lot of you did. A lot of you did choose to enter more than once. Got a lot of names here in this list. But anyway, I'm going to randomize this list. And shout out to Savigs, who just subscribed to the channel. There's Sasha Banks, your new women's tag team champion. I'm going to randomize the list. Top 3 winners. First, second, third place winners are going to be the people who are listed in the first, second, and third position. We keep this thing very simple. Let's get a drum roll going here. And let's pick the winners here and wrap up WrestleMania weekend. And the winners are Vasumuzi. I hope I didn't just butcher the name. Vuzamuzi. Vuzamuzi Maya Kayaka. Holy shit, that is an amazing name. Vuzamuzi, you are the first place winner. Jason Mitchell, you are the second place winner. And congratulations to Danny Morgan. You are the third place winner in the Gold Rush Championship Belt Contest. Vuzamuzi. I wonder where does that name come from? I'd love to know what nationality that is. That is a very unique name. But Vuzamuzi Maya Kayaka, you are the first place winner. You are going to win that Championship Moments belt. The one that I showed a little while ago. Let me see if I can bring it up again here. That custom-made WrestleMania Moments belt is going to be going to the first place winner. And our other winners will get the corresponding belt. So congratulations to all 3 winners. Wrestle Rumble will be in contact with you. And we'll get those championship belts out to you very shortly. Thank you again to Wrestle Rumble for allowing me to host these contests this weekend. And all of you should be checking out WrestleRumble.com and getting in on this. Wrestle Rumble has given away so many of these championship replicas. Of course, I have a custom Solomonster championship belt that I got as a gift. It is amazing. It's one of my coolest possessions. One of the coolest things that I've been gifted was the custom Solomonster championship belt. I am sure that the custom Mania Moments belt is going to be every bit as cool. And we will be doing more of these. I assure you, we will be doing more of these contests in the future. So thank you to him for that. But right now, we have a lot of thoughts from you guys. You guys were very opinionated about this WrestleMania show. I can tell because I've got a whole bunch of your super chats to go through. But I'm going to read your messages. If you have comments about the shows this weekend or questions or anything like that, you can send them on in. And we will hang out here for a little bit and go through all of your messages. I will try to get through these as quickly as I can. Starting with Juan. Our buddy Juan Ocampo. That was the worst stunner in history. I don't know if I can call it the worst in history. Trump took a fucking awful one at WrestleMania 20. I mean, that looked like total shit at WrestleMania 23. Had fucking shaving cream all over. I honestly, I remain shocked that he even took it in the first place. I remain shocked that he even agreed to that. But yes, he did not know how to take a stunner, and neither does Vince McMahon. So beyond the fact that, you know, they both have a lot of money, they can't take a stunner for their fucking lives. Supratik Boxy. If main event delivers, in a weird way, this Mania would live up to its billing of stupendous in terms of moments. This WrestleMania did give us a lot of moments, but it did not give us one of the better WrestleMania main events. I'm actually kind of shocked, to be honest with you, at how lackluster that main event was. We've seen Brock Lesnar have much better matches. We've seen Roman Reigns have much better matches. You would think it being WrestleMania, I mean, unless their time got cut. But to me, that's not even really an excuse. Even if their time was cut down a little bit, you're in the main event of WrestleMania. Like, you got to bring your fucking A game. And it's not just them, too. The booking has to support them. But it just felt like, well, we're just going to give you a very paint-by-numbers, basic, blasé main event. And when it's the WrestleMania main event that's been built up as supposedly the biggest match of all time, which, of course, it was never going to be, I think what they gave us was very disappointing. The Undertaker, 2024. I would love to be a fly on the wall to hear Vince and Stone Cold backstage after that stunner. Well, if they're smart, they have been filming, hopefully this weekend, a new WWE 24 special. You gotta think they were filming all throughout this week and this weekend for a Stone Cold WWE 24 episode. How could they not? So hopefully we'll get some footage of that in the 24 special, if there is one. King Bling Blah, biggest WrestleMania match, and no special entrances. Right? Neither man got a special entrance either. Pat McAfee got a better entrance than Brock Lesnar did or Roman Reigns did. Super Teak, Roman's Acknowledge Me has kind of turned into like, finally The Rock, as far as catchphrases. Hey, Axel, shout out to Axel all the way in Puerto Rico. If it's me, I open Raw tomorrow night with Cody Rhodes. Cody is going to be on Raw tomorrow night, but if it's me, I open the show with him. I could see them wanting to open with Roman, though, you know, given that he won in the main event. But if it's me, I'd put a live mic in Cody's hand. I'd throw him right out there. Ojali Burgos. Coincidence that as soon as Cody signed with WWE, they have 3 black women's champions at the same time for the first time ever. Well, we all know that Cody solved racism, so it's not shocking to me at all. Racism no longer exists because of Cody Rhodes. But Ojali says, in all seriousness, this Mania was an all-timer. I don't know that I would go that far, but as I said, I thought it was the best Mania in about 7 years. This ended up being a much better WrestleMania than I thought it would be, despite the main event on night 2. Ali Al, great WrestleMania. I loathe the CGI and AR signs. Yeah, it's very annoying. You know, when they cut away from Austin's entrance last night to throw up a random like CGI skull, I was done. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of the fucking graphics. Marcus Robinson Johnson, got work in the morning, so I can't stay for the whole show, but wanted to say once again, congrats on 750 episodes of The Sound Off. Thank you, sir. I did indeed. I dropped the 750th podcast earlier today. I know there's been a lot going on this weekend, so if you missed it, it's going to be there for you. It'll be sitting there in your Podbean or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whatever you use to listen to the podcast. It'll be there waiting for you. Captain Kush, thank you for the sub. I know what Captain Kush is doing tonight. I can tell you, though, now that I have seen WrestleMania, and I have seen the Ring of Honor show and, you know, the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff this weekend, but the match of the weekend is still FTR against the Briscoes. FTR and the Briscoes still had the match of the weekend at Supercard of Honor, and when this year is over, it will be in the conversation for match of the year. But Marcus says, got work in the... Oh, I read Marcus already. I'm reading his message twice. Hey, dog. Do you think Cody will beat Roman? You know, I was thinking about that. And I wasn't really sure about that, but as I think about the lack of challengers for the championship, and the idea that maybe they're going to save Drew for the summer, you know, they're going to have a big UK pay-per-view, probably a big stadium show Labor Day weekend. You know, do you save a Drew McIntyre win for then? Or do you go with Cody Rhodes? Do you have Cody Rhodes? Do you build a Cody and Roman maybe it's SummerSlam? They're doing SummerSlam in July in Nashville at a stadium. Do you do Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns? I think you do. I think you do. I think if it were me, I start building Cody Rhodes for an eventual match with Roman Reigns. I think you do. Zach Jones, Adrenaline in my soul. How would you book Cody to beat Roman for all the gold? Do it all to get them off their feet. Could Roman suffer a Rhodes defeat? He's very talented. He's a very talented man, is Zach Jones. I don't know how I would do it, but I do think that you build to Roman and Cody. I haven't really thought about how to do it, and it's way too late for me to start booking it. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't do my best booking at 2 o'clock in the morning. Frank Aquilino, thanks for all the content this weekend. I don't watch WWE anymore, but this was a good weekend for them. It was. It was a very good weekend for WWE. I give them credit where it's due, and I give them scorn when they deserve it. It just so happens that they deserve scorn more often than not. But when they knock it out of the park and they have a great show, I enjoyed even the Hall of Fame. When I watched it back on Saturday morning, when they put on a good show, I will give them credit for a good show. In the case of Cody Rhodes and his comeback and the whole presentation, I gave them a ton of credit. They could not have handled that in a better way. But now, WrestleMania is over. Tomorrow night, we start anew with Monday Night Raw. And now we see where the chips fall as far as who's going to challenge Roman, what are they going to do with Cody, what are they going to do with Edge and this possible new faction now. They have me interested to see where they're going to go. This is going to be a big night for them tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is going to help set the stage for what is to come, what the directions are going to be for a lot of different people now going forward. Brock Lesnar. Is Brock Lesnar going to take a little bit of a break for a few weeks? Because we know he's on the next pay-per-view. Is he going to be there tomorrow night? He got beat. Brock got beat. Pretty much fair and square. He got beat tonight. How is he going to respond? Is he going to be angry? Are we going to still get happy, cheerful farmer Brock? Maybe we're going to get old school Brock, who just comes out and murders people. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Queen QAnon with the $50 super chat drop. Look at this. The Queen sending some love. Thanks for all that you do. Thank you, Queen Quone. Hope I'm pronouncing that last one right. Coming through strong. Yeah, I know Brock did get low blowed, but again, it's his own fucking fault. He should have been wearing a cup. I don't have any sympathy for him. You know how many times this guy has been hit or kicked in the dick and the balls over the last few years? He did it to himself. He should have seen it coming. I have no sympathy for him. Boots. The main event finish was not hands on head worthy. Lowe says buy or sell on the better Hall of Fame speech, The Undertaker or Bobby Heenan. If you listened to the podcast earlier, I pretty much said that I think The Undertaker has the best speech now in Hall of Fame history. Thank you, Timu. It's good to see Timu is enjoying the tunes in the background. Matthew Sheffel, lackluster main event. Epsilon Sama, do you see Cody against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania next year? No. I think they need to try to do that a little bit sooner. SummerSlam. I could see it at SummerSlam. Flamethrower Fluff Salisbury. What, if any, call-ups from NXT do you think we'll get in the near future? I think Tommaso Ciampa seems pretty obvious. I think LA Knight is a must. They need to have LA Knight on SmackDown this week. And if it were me, I think Santos Escobar. Craving the sweet release of death. Solomonster, you should start your own OnlyFans like Tony Storm. I don't think I would make $30,000 or $31,000 in one day the way that Toni Storm did. I don't know. I don't think I would have quite the level of success that Toni Storm is having with hers. Hey, Shin Akuma, look at this. Shin Akuma dropping $50. Saying Triple H is the reason why I fell in love with WWE back in '99. Was so happy to see him, but as soon as I saw the boots in his hand, I knew what was up. And I just cried. Also, thanks for all that you do. Thank you, Shin. I appreciate the support, and it was a great moment. You know, he didn't overstay his welcome. He didn't go out there to do a long speech or anything like that. It was a nice gesture with the boots and everything, and it was very cool. Just the fact that he was even able to walk out there. He had his kids in the front row. You know, you look at life differently after an experience like the one that he had. Hey, Crystal's here. Make it clear. Just subscribe to the channel. Alvin Johnson, $20 super chat. Not as good as night one, but still fun for the most part. That main event ended way too early, though, in my opinion. Simi Valley, definitely way too early, but still I ask, if not Rock for Roman for WrestleMania next year, then who? We just had a super chatter say Cody next year. I just think it's a long time to wait to do that match. You could, look, I think you could start pushing Cody hard now. SummerSlam is still many months away. You need a big main event for SummerSlam. Cody should be an option. Maybe they go with Drew, but I think Cody should be an option. Could they build Cody for WrestleMania next year? Absolutely, they could. But is Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns a big enough main event for WrestleMania in Hollywood next year? I don't know. I'm not totally sold on that. But if not him, then who? It's a great question. If not Rock, then who? If not Rock or Cody, then who? I struggle to think about who they would plug into that spot. You know, maybe they try to rush somebody like a Braun Breaker. I think that would be a very big mistake to even think about putting him in a position like that this early. There aren't really a lot of great answers, to be honest with you. Darth Panic. Rush finish to the main event. I think Pat McAfee stole the show. Night one was definitely better. I agree. Mordecai McNasty. In my opinion, Cody should not come near a title until he feuds with Randy Orton in his quest to erase past demons. Orton against Cody is money, in my opinion. Orton against Cody is something they have to do at some point, but Orton's in a tag team right now. So how long are you supposed to wait? This RK Bro thing could go another year for all we know. So as long as Orton's in a tag team, I wouldn't worry so much about Cody can't do this until he wrestles Orton. He'll wrestle Orton when the time is right. You know? I don't see any problem with him going after a championship. Maybe he wins a championship and then defends it against Orton. I don't think that should limit, what they do with Cody just because, they want to wait to get him in the ring with Randy Orton. Mads says, Bianca against Becky or Sasha against Bianca. What is the better match? I would go Sasha against Bianca. But they were both excellent matches. Juan Vasquez, this was Stone Cold's WrestleMania. Next year it will be The Rock's, but overall, day one was the best. Bryant Becerra with the $45 super chat. Bryant was, he was very successful in the Wrestle Rumble contest last night. Says, night one was far better than night two, that is for sure. Gary, what is the, somebody said something about a picture of Roman's arm. I have no idea what that's about. Gary, cause Chuck, drop it in with the $4. Get some damn sleep. You deserve it. I am desperately gonna need sleep. I'm technically supposed to be up at, 6:30. We'll see how that works. We're supposed to be up at 6:30 in the morning. It's 2:05. We'll see. Remember, I don't drink coffee either. The Carlosis. Am I the only one who hates champions entering first before the challenger? Yeah, I think it should be the other way around, but I just think it happens so often now that I almost don't even notice it anymore. Bob the Builder. Cody cuts a promo tomorrow and is interrupted by Roman Reigns. I don't see them going directly into that, so I don't think that's going to happen. Craving the sweet release of death. Do all wrestling podcasters drink from the fountain of youth? You, Alvarez, Meltzer all look much younger than your years. Please share your beauty secrets. I did always think that Alvarez looked like a little kid. And he's older than me. My secret is... What is my secret? I don't get nearly as much sleep as I should. I should probably look like Vince McMahon, to be honest with you. Fucking wrinkles and bags under my eyes and shit. I don't have a great secret. I guess it's just good genetics, I guess. But thank you. I appreciate that. Joey Phillips. At least they stopped carding me. Up until a few years ago, there were certain places that I would go into. Like if I went in to go buy a bottle of Jack, I ran out of Jack Daniels. So I would go to the liquor store, buy a bottle of Jack, and they were still asking me for my identification. They weren't doing that with everybody, but they would do it with me. At least now they don't do that anymore. Joey Phillips. Cody from AEW. Stone Cold, Mr. McMahon from the Attitude Era. Celebrities. And the same stars doing the same things. Night 1, fun night. Night 2 was meh. 6 out of 10 total. Dr. Scorpio says the secret is Magic Spoon. Well, I don't need that much Magic Spoon that it would keep me this young. Somebody say he doesn't do drugs? Yeah, no drugs. Maybe that has something to do with it. Even the drinking is very limited. I really only drink socially, to be honest with you. It's not like I'm, getting fucking, wasted here at home. I watch Monday Night Raw every week, and I just sit here and cry and get wasted every week. I really never bothered with a lot of that stuff, and I'm sure that helps. Who we got here? We've got Groovy Goose. Thanks for the past 5 nights of fun streams. Your streams made this a very fun week. Well, I'm happy to hear that. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. I've been streaming more than I have probably ever in a single week. And I'm considering going live tomorrow night as well after Raw. I'm still not 100% sure yet, but it's looking like I might do a Raw stream tomorrow night. Rodimus Prime with the $20. What's going on, Rodimus? Says, I'll take night 1 over night 2. WrestleMania overall was a good one this year. What are your overall thoughts on WrestleMania? Is this like a running joke with all these super chats now? I just spent 2 hours talking about what I thought about WrestleMania. I liked this WrestleMania overall. I liked night 1 better than night 2. That's what I thought of WrestleMania. HBK C83. Without Adam Cole, a talented in-ring performer to be in the ring with, how impressed were you with Pat McAfee? I was very impressed. Pat McAfee is the real deal. Pat McAfee may not be able to go out there and have a traditional 15-minute hold-for-hold wrestling match, but to go in there and memorize his spots and do the things that he does, he did it perfectly. And the guy's over. And he's got personality, he's got charisma. We saw him in NXT. He could be a very annoying heel. Tonight, he was one of the biggest baby faces in the entire building. I mean, I would wager he might have been the biggest baby face outside of Steve Austin on the entire show. Simi Valley, if Edge is getting a Ministry of Darkness type stable, who do you see joining him and Damian Priest? I mentioned earlier, I think as far as a female addition, they should consider that. I think Rhea Ripley would be a great fit for that group. I really do. Bret Hart. Thank you so much for your hard work. You are truly a stupendous podcaster. And shout out to the awesome editing team of WWE who always help to keep me up to date with the storylines. Paul Hamilton. There's that $100 bomb from earlier. Thank you, Solomonster, for being one guaranteed winner we can count on. Portland pop star. It's not as late in Portland right now as it is here in New York. I wonder if Paul is still awake. Kenneth Taff. Now that Roman has both belts, now that Roman has both belts and there was no Rock cameo, now what? Don't know. I guess we'll have to tune into Monday Night Raw to find out. Chasen Roberts. Vince botched the stunner, but man, it was funny and cool to see him out there at his age. Elijah Ricard with the $99.99 super chat. Oh my God. What a great weekend for wrestling. Best part was McAfee camera shot where he was drinking a beer and selling at the same time. Well, that's a man with his priorities pretty much straight. He's a multitasker. He can walk and chew gum at the same time. He can do two things at once. Serious. One telling phrase for tonight, Stone Cold Carnage. There's the Undertaker 420 super chat. Look how happy he looks. You can tell Undertaker is a man who has, he's taken some drugs in his day. That's why he looks so old. See? You look at the Undertaker and you look at me. You can see the difference between us. Although he's got a few years on me. Philip Bowman, Pat McAfee is the best. Kevin, oh my God, thank you for the $4.99. Craving the sweet release of death, buy or sell on Austin to AEW for a run with Punk. No. Austin is not leaving WWE. Stone Cold's home is in WWE. Elijah with the $49.99. Here's one more to you, man. Love the show. Elijah, thank you. I think Elijah became a new channel member tonight as well. Yeah, if you are new to the channel, there are channel memberships as well. And now that WrestleMania is finally behind us, I can get back to some of the content that I was working on before. But the top tier, the Legends tier, which is a little more expensive, but in addition to the usual perks, there's also retro audio. I'm going back in the archives one episode at a time. And all those lost shows that are no longer hosted online. We're talking shows from like 2007, 2008, 2009. Those are going up slowly. But for everybody, we do the occasional live watch-alongs. We just did a watch-along a few weeks ago for the Bret Hart-Steve Austin match, 25-year anniversary from WrestleMania 13. There's a lot of 25-year anniversaries coming up this year, so we're going to be doing more of those for channel members. We've got the occasional video Q&A videos where I take questions from channel members, call-in shows, so, a lot of fun stuff if you want to consider becoming a channel member. So someone said, the guy's arm is bulging red. I assume that's in reference to Roman, his arm. Let me see real quick. You like that brother super chat with the cow? Brother. Let me tell you something, brother. Let me see what this Roman arm thing is about. Hey, Jaden Stearns, thank you for the sub. Let me just see real quick if I can find it. If I can find it, I'll put it up here on screen. People are talking about Roman Reigns' arm. Did his arm fall off or something? Let's see. Let's see what Roman's arm looks like. Why am I sitting here at 2 o'clock in the morning searching for a man's arm? I'm not sure. Let's see. No, I mean, he's posing in the back with the titles. He looks fine to me. Nah, I don't see anything wrong, so I'm sure he's fine. Off leather wings in 2K22. Don't download arenas, download shows. I wasn't aware of that. I downloaded some custom arenas and then they wouldn't. I went in just like regular single player mode and they were blacked out. I couldn't even select the ones that I had downloaded. I wasn't sure why. Hey, Justin Spencer, thank you. Me and Sasha, thank you for the sub. Although she's a lot more attractive than me. We both welcome you to the channel here. Mr. All Day J. Night 1 was way better than Night 2, but the fact that Roman won't get pinned until SummerSlam makes me hate the unified title thing. Johnny Francesi, what is your predicted main event for WrestleMania 39? I don't know. I don't know. Everybody is talking about Roman and Cody. I mean, look, it's possible. And it's also possible they could still get The Rock. That's the match they want. Vince McMahon wanted Stone Cold back in the ring for a match at WrestleMania this year, and he got it. Who's to say he won't end up getting The Rock? Huncho Jack, Solomonster, worst WrestleMania main events of all time. John Cena and The Miz at WrestleMania 27 is the first one that I always think of. Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns from WrestleMania 34. Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns and The Undertaker from WrestleMania 33. That's another one to put on the list. George Mazur, is it just me? Was the crowd meh for Edge and AJ? Big fan. What's your favorite bar in NYC? Unfortunately, my favorite bar closed last year. I wasn't even aware of it during the pandemic. And not because of the pandemic, but apparently the fucking landlord was raising the rent too high, and so they just shut down. But there was a bar, a sports bar in Midtown Manhattan in Murray Hill called Joshua Tree. It was an 80s bar. So you had a bar in the front, and then there was another bar in the back. And it was a sports bar, you know, but then after a certain hour each night, it turned into just packed to the brim. On the different TV screens, they would play old 80s, and they would play some current stuff mixed in there too, but they would play like old 80s music videos. I always had fun when I would go there. And I had no idea. I found out a few months ago that they shut down. That was my favorite go-to spot in the city, but I don't venture into the city very often now, so. But as far as the crowd, yeah, the crowd was a little quiet during Edge and AJ, but they were building. You know, they were building to the trading of the finishers and everything later in the match. So sometimes, you know, you slow the pace down and you build things back up. Rizzo with the $10. Night 1 was better than tonight, but I'm wondering if an injury happened in that Roman and Brock match because something seemed off with the ending. Thanks for all the work this weekend. I mean, look, it's entirely possible that Roman got hurt when he was telling Heyman, it's out. I mean, I just assumed that was part of the match. He was selling the Kimura lock, and I still believe that. Is it possible that he actually got hurt? Yeah, it's possible. Possible. Let me see here if I can find if there's some kind of an update. Let me see here. Yeah, I don't think so, but we'll see. We'll see if there's any kind of injury update or anything on Roman Reigns. Let me just see here. Because I mean, people are talking about how maybe he got hurt and all that. I don't know. That might just be people who are trying to come up with excuses for why that main event was so lackluster. But, well, there's a photo I didn't expect to see. Holy shit. This is wow. This is quite the photo here. Let me see if I could save this. There is a photo of Stephanie McMahon posing with Brett Lauderdale. the promoter for GCW, and he's wearing his GCW jacket. This is a most interesting photo here. Let me see if I can save it. So I can import it in here and show you guys. That is definitely a photo I was not expecting to see this weekend. Hold on a second. Look at this. How about this photo? There's a photo I never thought I would see. Oh my God, you know what this means? Stephanie McMahon has bought GCW. It's the invasion storyline all over again. Stephanie McMahon, look at this. She looks like she has bought GCW. First she owned ECW and now she owns GCW. That is true. Epsilon Samba, that is true. Stephanie probably just thinks it's some fan. He looks like a fan. Look at the guy. He looks like a random fucking fan. Guarantee you she has no idea who he is. Guarantee you she thinks he's like fucking, Brandon from, Ohio or something. She has no idea who this man is. He looks like he paid for a meet and greet so he can meet Stephanie McMahon. That's very sad. Anyway. Enough of that. Let's get back to your messages here. Manny, where would you put this WrestleMania if you ranked them? I don't know. It would probably be somewhere in the middle. Probably somewhere in the middle, trending up more than trending down, probably. But exactly where, I don't know. Timothy Roscoe, Knoxville against Sami was pure Looney Tunes bullshit, and I loved it. Yeah, I did too. I thought it was entertaining. Johnny Francesi, better CGI effect. Roman Reigns, ejaculation statue, or RK Bro friendship snakes. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't want to know what you're talking about. Did I miss something on the show tonight? Evidently I did. But, wow. That's not what I needed to be thinking about before I go to bed tonight, by the way. Diarlo Renford with the $5 super chat. I was very disappointed at the Edge and AJ match, 4 out of 10. Now I wonder who's going to join Edge and Priest in the Mountain of Omnipotence stable. Oh, I hope that's not the name they give it. That would be awful. Alvin Johnson, Wee Man got a bigger pop than a majority of the roster. That is just sad and hilarious. That is pretty sad. MHS, I'm in the minority here. Knoxville and Zayn was lame as fuck. Hated it. Can't wait to hear Cornette's take. Well, you already know what Cornette's take is going to be. I mean, there's no real surprise there. Okay, so he's talking about the CGI things before the entrance. He better be. Now you're making me think of the, remember the sperm snakes for Randy Orton's entrance at WrestleMania 33 when he was walking down the ramp and they superimposed all this. They were supposed to be snakes, but they looked like fucking sperm that were swimming around. Even Randy Orton refers to that as the fucking sperm snakes. Bobby's World 2110 with the $100 super chat bomb from 2 hours ago. Oh, we better play catch up on this. I didn't realize I was still that far behind. Oh my God. Night 2 was fun, but Night 1 was much better. Would have liked a clean finish for Edge and AJ, but Priest being with Edge will be nothing but good for him. Got to get up early, but had to show some love to the best podcaster in all the land. Smash that like button. So obviously Bobby has gone to bed, but thank you, Bobby. for the support. I appreciate that. We are, by the way, we are over 1,100 likes, which is awesome. Let's see if we can get that up even more. Let's see if we can break 12. Can we break 1,200 before we get out of here tonight? Let's see. Who we got next? Anti-M Bishop 07. Evening Solomonster. All love to the collective WrestleCon Ring of Honor for an incredible weekend of wrestling. Peace to Solomonster for his work as well. Enjoy WWE this week because it's back to the BS in a week. Oh, I know. I'm well aware. Jake Winans, $9.99. Great WrestleMania, although I felt the main event backed itself into a corner with Reigns going in 0-2 against Lesnar. Was supposed to be at the show this year, but then got COVID. LA, here I come. Well, that sucks. That sucks. Hopefully, asymptomatic, I hope. Hopefully you didn't lose your sense of smell or taste or any of that stuff. That would be very annoying. Johnny Francesi, buy or sell, better posterior. Chris Pontius or Big Dick Johnson? Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it. Anti-M Bishop, also WrestleMania MVPs. KO, Zayn, and Austin to me. Love seeing Sasha break the streak. And lastly, thank you all 2022 Hall of Famers. Stun that like button. That's right. Give that like button a stone cold stunner. Then pick it back up and give it another one. Kenneth, I told Alex, so I'm telling you too, as an idea. What if you and him collab for a WrestleMania 40 review? It would be awesome, or should I say stupendous. Alex who? I don't know what Alex you're referring to, but I usually I like doing my own thing here when it comes to these shows. I work alone. I'm a man who works better alone. James Auburn, remember the voice modulation effect they used to put on Nails promos back in the day? Omos actually sounds like that in real life. That's a great point. That's a great point. I hadn't thought about that. Omos is the real life Nails. Hugo with the $26 super chat. Night 2 was something. More highs were had on night 1 for me, but oh well. Stories to be told and all that. For my first WrestleMania live, there were far worse shows than this. Overjoyed for Sasha and Naomi. Let's see. What we got here? Sean Waters. Wish I could make Paul Hamilton money, Solomonster, so I can give you hundreds of dollars because you definitely deserve it for all your hard work. I will accept your 5 and I will thank you all the same. Thank you very much, Sean. Simi Valley, any predictions for any returns or debuts on the main roster tomorrow or Friday? Yeah, I've been saying LA Knight. I think LA Knight and Ciampa wouldn't really be a big debut because we've seen him on TV recently, but I think we get LA Knight. Cody is going to make his Raw return tomorrow night. As far as any big surprises, I don't think so. Eric's Music. I know it happened last year, but they should have had Sasha force herself into Charlotte against Ronda like Daniel Bryan. Would make it more interesting. That would have made the match a lot more interesting to me. But I'm sure there were reasons why they did not want to do that. Anderson Blitz, WrestleMania 38 overall was awesome. Watching at Legends Bar with fans, and I'm honored that WWE used my video in the Becky against Bianca promo. This is a WrestleMania that I will remember. Well, that is very cool. Congratulations. That is awesome. James Hollins, Edge and Damian Priest against AJ Styles and Demon Balor. You know what? That would actually make a lot of sense. I think you hit on something there, right? With the issues that Priest has had recently with Finn Balor. AJ and Finn have a history together. I don't think it needs to be Demon Balor, though. I think you could just do AJ and Finn. But I like that. I like AJ and Finn feuding with Edge and Damian Priest. I like that. Donnie Yasu with the $20 super chat. If anything, Vince is consistent in being the worst seller of the stunner of all time. Ken F. House of Black is going to need something big before they get outdone by Edge and WWE, and I'm here for it. Looks like Edge is about to start his own House of Black. Hugo, you did not need to explain it. Solomonster, I am sold. Rhea would go so well with Damian and Edge. She really would. That's why I pitched it in the first place. I really hope they'll consider doing that. I think she'd be a good fit. Tomas, how much money did you make from all the super chats this week? It'll be our secret, brother. Thank you, Tomas. Control, Walt, delete. Edge and Priest against RK Bro at SummerSlam. And who does Roman drop the titles to? Edge and Priest against RK Bro. I don't like that because I don't think Edge and Priest should be concerned about the tag team titles. They're probably going to add a third person, I would imagine, whoever that is. A third male member. If he's going to do a stable, then he would probably bring at least one more person in. I don't think it's necessarily a tag team title thing with Edge and Priest. I don't see that. Lord Frieza, the Bloodline is fixing to get some DUIs tonight, or contusions, or both. Austin Runge, crazy how much better Michael Cole is without Vince in his ear. Naif Alsafar with the $9.99. There he is. Was wondering where Naif was. Stainer. Finally got to catch a live stream. P.S. Love the Sound of Gamer episodes. HBK trying to be the showstopper in front of an empty crowd. Had me rolling. Guy's doing a fucking giant flying elbow drop in the PC and there's no fans around. What is he doing? The comedic genius. Did you notice Vince's face when Theory's song played? Yeah, I mentioned that. He jumped. He goofed. He thought they were playing Austin's music. He was getting ready to react to it, and then he realized, shit. So, yeah, I definitely noticed that. Don Juan, that botched Vince reaction. WWE's themes are so generic, even Vince doesn't recognize them. Cac Burlington, it sucks that Triple H couldn't have a retirement match. If he could have had his final retirement match at WrestleMania, who would you pick as his opponent? AJ Styles. Jack Harper Games, you agree, Solo, that Vince looked horrid and is very badly showing his age. He's 76 years old. He's an old man. You know, he's in good shape for an old man physically. You know, he's got big muscles, but he's a fucking old man. You know, that's what happens when you get old. You start to look old. You start to look like the Crypt Keeper. That's what happens. And also, you know what I think part of it is? He's had a lot of work done. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Vince, he looks like a wax figure out there. Like, facially. It looks like he's had a facelift. He's had some work done. Probably Botox. But it's so noticeable, you know? Whatever happened to people aging gracefully? It's like they're trying to pickle themselves so that they can, you know, live forever. T-Mac, blading is TV-14, but hardway is PG? Dumb as fuck. It's a lot safer to blade than it would be to let Brock Lesnar try to open you up hardway. So you're right, it is very dumb. Chuck Lentz, the lunatic. Chuck Lunatic Lentz dropping in on the WrestleMania stream. Fun couple of nights. WrestleMania was pretty okay too. Chuck, it's good to hear from you. Thank you for the love, man. I appreciate that. We've got Zombified Guitarist. He's been a channel member for 5 months. 5 months. Miss Mania for work, but thanks to the stream, I saved money on a cab ride to the watch party. I got you covered, brother. I got you covered, brother. Let's see. Cac Burlington. Actually, no, Austin. I don't want to skip Austin here. A lot of Austins on the stream tonight. Talking about Steve Austin, Austin Theory. Now we have Austin Runge. Bianca deserves to main event night 2 next year. Mrs. WrestleMania. I want the best possible match in the main event of WrestleMania. I don't give a shit who that's with. I don't care if they're a man, if they're a woman, if it's wee man. I don't care. Whatever the strongest match is going to be with the best story going into WrestleMania, that should be the main event. If it's The Rock coming back, obviously he's going to get the main event, but if it's not, give me the best possible match with the best possible story. And if that's not Bianca, then Bianca's going to have to settle for second best. And if it is Bianca, then she should have the main event. That's my attitude. Cac says it'd be funny if Roman showed up on AEW with the WWE and Universal titles without telling Vince. It'd be funny if Cody left AEW to come to WWE and challenge for the world title, which he wasn't allowed to compete for in AEW. And then Roman just took both belts and went to AEW. And Cody was right back in the same position he was in before. And he had no championship to fight for. Jose Alaguna, do you see Ronda coming back for another run? Ronda's here. Ronda's not going anywhere. Ronda's here for at least another year. So, yeah, Ronda's not going anywhere. Ricky Edmond, overall, what did you think of WrestleMania 29? I did not like WrestleMania 29. I like CM Punk against The Undertaker. Otherwise, I think WrestleMania 29 is one of the weaker WrestleManias they've ever done. Derek Jones, fun show overall, not quite as fun as night one. Funny that the most fun segment from both nights involved Austin. Winston Smith. What's going on, Winston? Austin had a great night one. He wasn't needed for night two. We desperately need someone to step up and beat Roman, but who? All right, you know what? I'll do it. You keep pulling my arm. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll be the one to do it. Hydrograd 50 cents. That's why I'm working my way through the Performance Center right now in 2K22. I'm getting ready. I'm going to work my way up to the Tribal Chief. Hydrograd, I remember you mentioning during your WrestleMania 33 review that you liked it better than WrestleMania 31. I'm guessing your opinion has changed since then. That I liked WrestleMania 33 overall, as far as like the live experience, or are you talking about the set? The WrestleMania 33 stage is the best stage they've ever had. I remember commenting on that and really liking that. The Hardy Boys return was a great moment on that show at WrestleMania that year. I don't know. I mean, as I sit here now and I think about the two shows and I compare them, I mean, I would vote 31 over 33. You know, maybe, you know, being in the stadium that night, coming out of it and doing an immediate review, you know, maybe with the benefit now of looking back on it, I feel differently. If I said that, I definitely feel differently now than I did at the time. But I don't remember raving about WrestleMania 33. So that would be surprising. Let's see. Kirazabel, do you like the two-night WrestleMania as the new norm? No, I mean, I wish we could just go back to the one-night WrestleMania that wasn't 7 hours long. But it's clear that we're never going to go back to that again, unfortunately. But in a perfect world, WrestleMania would just be one night. Diarlo Renford, Solomonster, much love, coming to you from the 716 in Buffalo, New York. Overall, WrestleMania Night 2, 7 out of 10. Are you going to do a Raw After Mania live stream? If I can get some sleep, probably. But I'll let you guys know tomorrow for sure. Axel Joel Official. I'm starting to like the idea of having two nights of WrestleMania. I guess because we get to see more of the unseen talent. Shin Akuma with the $50 super chat. I read that one earlier, so again, thank you, Shin. And Liam Lyons, welcome to the channel. Asuka gives you the double thumbs up. Asuka, by the way, is on her way back soon. Asuka and Bayley should be back on television any week. Actually, you know what? We might see one or both of them on TV this week. We might see... I could almost guarantee you, I think we'll see at least one of them. Probably Bayley, I think we'll see on TV this week. Manic Magician... How long until the next budget cuts? And congrats again on 750. If the past is any indication, it might be coming up in a couple of weeks. I think the past couple of years they've done cuts around April 15th. So And April 15th this year is a Friday. That's the next House of Glory show, actually. So it could be a budget cut Friday situation again this year. The Mount Vernon kid, the Alpha. Outside of Cody, I still feel AJ Styles has another run in him. You, good sir, are an alpha for doing this all week. Respect. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Food Hive. Yo, I'm at work getting off. And you're still alive? What the fuck? Where have you been, Food Hive? You missed the whole stream. This guy's here every week. He's with us on the Dynamite streams. And then we have this huge weekend. And this guy is busy working. You shouldn't be working. You should be here. HBK says, what would you do with Seth Rollins now? What would I do with Seth Rollins now? I don't know. I got to think about that a little more. I haven't even thought about Seth, to be honest with you. Kyle Davis, what was the reason to not make the trip this year? Oh, by the way, I was at Ring of Honor and the tag match was incredible. Yeah, I still maintain I think the tag team match was the match of the weekend. That was the best match I saw all weekend, was FTR and the Briscoes. So, Eric's Music. Could you honestly book Roman Reigns against Pat McAfee at WrestleMania? No. No, I would not do that. Philip Bowman, if I watched Raw every week, I would do acid. Could do acid. Could do mushrooms. Yeah, I mean, that would probably make the show a little more interesting, I would imagine. Timu, wrestling food name, Yogurt Angle. Not bad. I give that a 5 out of 10. Epsilon Sama, Reigns might just be legitimately hurt. I just checked Twitter. Well, by God, you know, Twitter is always certainly the first and best source of information. I was on Twitter a few minutes ago. I didn't see anything. So I will wait until Fightful or PW Insider or somebody else reports on whether or not there's an injury. As far as I could tell, he's posing for pictures backstage. He's not, if he's hurt, he's not seriously injured. But I'm sure if he did get hurt in that match legitimately, then we'll know about it very soon. Kira Zabel, if MJF went to WWE, how far do you see him going? If he went to WWE, he could be a world champion. Just like he's going to be in AEW. Food Hive, thank you for providing us with entertainment to get us through and staying consistent. I know it's tough. JAS, the Jason Appreciation Society. Thank you, Food Hive. Travanti Wilson gets the Orange Cassidy thumbs up for subscribing to the channel. You know, the one good thing about WrestleMania weekend, we bring a lot of new members into the Sound Off family. A lot of activity on YouTube, a lot of activity online WrestleMania weekend. We usually pick up a whole bunch of new subs and members, and hopefully some of them stick around. Off Leather Wings in 2K22, don't download arenas, download shows. I read that earlier, which is good to know. I was not aware of that. Shinakuma. The only good winner take-all that they ever promoted was Survivor Series 2001. Once again, thank you for the fun week that you have given us, but the party is not over yet. Food Hive. Met one person from the stream in Dallas. That's very cool. You didn't tell me who it was. Angel Silva, WrestleMania Night 1 and 2 were both awesome and entertaining shows. Loved it. It's funny, you know, Food Hive, you're not the only one to tell me that you bumped into somebody either from the streams or from the Facebook group. You know, people underestimate it, but the Sound Off family, the Sound Off armies, extends far and wide. There are fans of the Sound Off in places that you would never imagine, including Saudi Arabia. We have a very, very diverse, very wide-ranging fan base. I'm very proud of them. Oscar V, what is your longest relationship and why did it end? My longest relationship is probably with WWE. And I've thought about ending it. I've thought about breaking it off. I've wanted to, and it tells me sometimes it's going to do better, give me another chance, and then I do, and then invariably it lets me down again. It's a very abusive relationship. It really is. But thank you, Oscar. Winston Smith, my first SmackDown in 99. Triple H had 5 matches. I remember that episode, by the way. He had the matches against Big Show, Mideon, Kane, Mankind, The Rock. Chokes. Yep, I remember that. I do. Rizzo, I wanted to ask this. Where did you get that shirt? I need to get one. Liquid blue. Liquid blue. Hydrograd. You can also create a show with the arenas you downloaded in 2K22, so you can use the arenas that you downloaded. Powerful one. Despite how good this WrestleMania was, it highlights the biggest problem they have. 57-year-old Stone Cold was the highlight of the whole thing because they have no current stars at that level, not even Roman. Well, aren't you a buzzkill? But you're not wrong. It is a problem. Tomas, may I offer that this become a socialist channel? Share your wealth. Tomas, you're a funny guy. You should do stand-up. Ryan Snipes. Everyone who watched this with me loved the show, but hated the constant annoying camera cuts. The camera shaking and going up and down when people punch or kick, and the VR graphics, which we all hated. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. Dr. Scorpio, Edge's new stable should be called the Edgelords. I'm sorry, everyone. I just had to, but I don't regret it. William Rabb, with Ronda against Becky projected for next year. Is Charlotte against Bianca the likely other women's title match for next year? It really depends on the draft. I mean, it's impossible a year out to know. A lot of it depends on the draft and where people are going to fall. Charlotte and Bianca had a great match on Raw. Back in, I want to say it was October. It was sometime around then. So it's a match I wouldn't mind seeing again, but it really depends on what brand the two of them are on at the time. It's impossible to know. I mean, you're asking me to predict the future a year in advance here. If I knew that, I would play the lotto numbers. Ricky Edmond, top 5 WrestleMania matches. No. It's too late for this. But I have said, obviously, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, WrestleMania 25. Bret Hart and Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13. Those two for sure are on the list. And then you start getting into, what about the ladder match? What about Bret and Owen? For me, though, I'll give you 3. The 2 that I just mentioned, I'll put Rock and Hogan on there from X8. As far as the other 2, I'd have to give this some more thought. Matthew Sheffel, if Rock can't wrestle next year for WrestleMania, would you have Cena come back and fight Roman Reigns? I wouldn't, because we already saw it. I do think there's a story there in Cena winning that championship and breaking Ric Flair's, fake record. Because Flair actually won more than 16 titles in reality. But I don't know. Him and Roman, though. I mean, Roman already beat him. It would just feel like a retread to me. Zombified Guitarist. God help me, the only person Roman can't beat is Quasimodo. Says book it Russo. Mark came to check the stream recap and you're still live. You madman. We all appreciate you. Some disappointing matches, but this Mania had some of the most fun moments that we have had in years. There were a lot of fun, entertaining moments on this show. That's what WrestleMania basically is at this point. They do it for the moments. They constantly talk about moments. WrestleMania moments. That's what they do. It's what the shows are really made for at this point. Super Pony, Kevin Owens should be rewarded for last night. I agree. And Tomas, I do my best. Love and laughter is my currency. Well, love and laughter is the best currency. We should all be, laughing a little bit more. Smiling a little bit more and being happy. Isn't that what life is all about? Right? It's about being happy. WWE actually had a happy weekend. They could have really screwed the pooch on this WrestleMania, but on the whole, I like this WrestleMania. I liked it more than last year's. Let's see here. What do we do? I think we're all caught up now on your super chats. Let's take one more look here at these two polls. This is the night 2 poll for tonight. And this is how it compares to the night 1 results. So a very big difference here between these two shows. I do want to thank everybody who voted. Of course, I also want to thank everybody who dropped in and left a super chat. All of our new channel members, all our new subs. Even if you just showed up and hit the like button, which you should definitely be doing on your way out of here. I want to say thank you for everyone who supported all throughout the week and the weekend. We might be live tomorrow night after Raw. I will make my final decision on that tomorrow, based on how I'm feeling. So we might not be done just yet, but this has been a lot of fun. And I'm going to head out of here and try to possibly get 3 or 4 hours sleep if I can. But anyway, check out episode 750. The full podcast, almost 2 hours. I think it was 1 hour and 40 this week, but that's up on all the usual audio platforms. I'll put some clips up on the channel tomorrow. Hopefully also work on a new Sound Off Gamer episode in the next couple of days. And you know the drill. Wednesday night, AEW Dynamite, the Young Bucks and FTR Part 2. AAA and Ring of Honor tag team titles are on the line in that match. So that is going to be a great match. Not a fan of the picture-in-picture stuff, but when you're on TV, I guess that's just a necessary evil, right? You got the picture-in-picture breaks and all that. Oh, we got some more super chats coming in late. We got West Coast James Herrera. Good WrestleMania weekend. I hope they deliver a great WrestleMania weekend in my backyard here in LA next year. I hope they do too. I hope they do too. Zombified guitarist, congrats for making it to the end. Solomonster. I thought I was never going to make it. Finally, I feel like Andy Dufresne crawling out of that fucking shithole tunnel at the end of Shawshank Redemption. I put my arms in the air. I finally made it. Finally made it. Be the Booker. You want to do you really want to keep me up, huh? You want to do Be the Booker? Well, I guess we did one last night, right? We made it this far, so we may as well. We'll do a very quick Be the Booker here before we leave. It is now time. Noah, take it away, Noah. Tell us what time it is, Noah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
Yes, it is Be the Booker, the latest edition that we've ever done here on the channel of Be the Booker, where we book men's and a women's main event at random and see what kind of match we can book. It's too late for me to remember what the hell I booked last night, but I don't remember the women's match being very good. Oh, actually, I booked Christian Cage and Roman Reigns. The women's match, I don't remember offhand what it was. So let's see if we have better luck tonight. Let's book for the men. And look at that. Look at that. Look at this. Damian Priest. Good old Damian Priest is the first name I land on. And the next one, I'm gonna trigger it even quicker. Here we go. Oh my goodness. Damian Priest one-on-one against Dave Meltzer. I'm giving that a bell. That's a great match. Big Money Meltzer. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Apologize. All you people who railed on him and said, oh, fake news. Vince McMahon's not wrestling. You see, it's Austin Theory. Vince McMahon's not wrestling Pat McAfee. Boy, you look like a fucking moron now, don't you? Apologize to this man. Good old Uncle Dave here. Getting a match with Damian Priest. I know who's going over in that match. That's going to be a 5-star classic in the fucking Tokyo Dome. Between Dave Meltzer and Damian Priest. I could tell you that. Well, let's switch on over to the ladies here. going to be hard to top that. But we'll try. First pick. Stacy Keibler. Didn't I land on her last night? I think I did. I think I landed on... Well, I would love to land on Stacy Keibler. I think I landed on Stacy Keibler last night. I just picked her again. What is going on here? So we have Stacy Keibler again. And it's going to be Stacy Keibler going one-on-one. Oh, God. I thought it stopped on her. Stacy Keibler one-on-one with Bertha Faye. You know, it's always the women's matches that I book here that just ruin the whole damn thing. Same thing happened last night. Same thing happened last night. Stacy Keibler and Bertha Faye. Good Lord. Was Dixie, wasn't it Dixie and Stacy? I don't know what last night's match was. I know that one sucked, though. That much I know. In Food Hive, you get the last word here. It says, Be the Booker is cursed. Yeah, Danhausen. Danhausen put a Cursehausen. That's what happened here. Danhausen put a Cursehausen on Be the Booker. Remember when Danhausen sent that cameo message into the channel? I think I might have it, actually. Hold on a second. I think I might still have the Danhausen video that he sent to the channel here. Let's see.
All right, ready this one. Jason Solomon, aka Solomonster. All right. Solomonster housing from Justin Housing. It's an anniversary of some sort. Danhausen, please congratulate Jason on celebrating his 14th anniversary of the Wrestling Podcast. Solomonster sounds off. Alright, well, Danhausen's here to wish you a very nice, very evil congratulations on the 14th anniversary of your podcasting podcast. Seems it's a long time to do that. 14 years of podcasting. 14, wow. We didn't have podcasts 14 years ago. Oh, it's a long time. Alright, well, good job. Keep it up. May your enemies be cursed. Love that, Danhausen.
Well, the always entertaining Danhausen. I have no idea what he said there, but that was the time that Danhausen sent a message into the channel here. Hey, Miguel, I take offense to that. Miguel says, Solomonster and Tony Khan don't know how to book women's matches. Well, Tony's a little bit better at it than I am. James, I will let everybody know tomorrow. I am probably going to be live after Raw tomorrow night, though. But follow me on Twitter at Solomonster, and I'll keep you guys posted. All right, I got to get out of here. Thank you again, and this has been fun. Thank you for your support. It means the world to me. Let's do it again next year for WrestleMania. We'll come right back here, and we'll do this all over again. We'll have a nice big party. All right, guys, I'll see you soon back here on the channel. Until then, take care, guys.